Now? Okay. Good afternoon, guys. So, welcome to our session. Today's session is mainly orientation for all the students who are appearing for Prelims 2023 and a roadmap for the next 6 months, right? So, before I start off, I want to make one thing very clear. The video that we are going to do right now, the session that we are going to take is mainly designed for all the students who are going to write prelims. It is not about Conquer 2023. It is not about those students who have subscribed only for that program and what we are going to do in that program. The video is not about that. The video is purely focusing on what prelims is all about and what you should be doing for this exam. Okay. So everyone who are watching on YouTube, it is more well curated for everyone who are preparing, and it is not only specific to Conquer 2023. So please make sure that you watch the video properly and thoroughly, because we have put our efforts into it to show you how exactly things works in preliminary exam. Alright. So to start it off at the beginning, so you people have heard about prelims exams and you people have seen different videos. They keep making different strategies on how to crack prelims, correct? So look, one moment, yeah. How I would like to tell you about prelims is, I would like to put it to an analogy of poker. Now, have you heard poker? Right? You have seen the game of poker. If you have not heard, it's a game of cards. Okay, right? Now, when you play the game of cards, you look at that poker game in 3 ways. There are 3 groups of people who play poker. Some people who consider that purely as a game of luck. Some people who consider that purely as a game of chance. And some people who consider that purely as a game of skills. Prelims is in the same way. I will attach the analogy of prelims, how I will relate it to it. So these are the 3 groups of people. Okay. Now coming to the first group, those people who play poker as a game of luck. Now this is purely a gamble. Alright. Now you get a good hand, that was your day, you win, or else you lose very badly. Okay. This is exactly what happens even in prelims. You have heard most of the people who come out of prelims telling you that prelims has become very uncertain, prelims has become very unpredictable. It is a game of luck. It was not my day. I marked so many options, but everything went wrong. This is those group of people who are viewing prelims from the game of luck. All right. Now look, these people are sincere candidates. Okay. They are putting in their long hours. They have been studying for the last 10 hours, 12 hours for the last 3 months. It is not that they are not sincere. The only thing is their approach is changing. Now, if I take 100 questions in prelims, let us say 100 questions, and I will eliminate 30 questions because they are designed in a way for you not to answer. So skip 30 questions, come to the 70 questions chunk. In that 70 questions, I am assuming that you are good at your basics. So with basics, let us say you were able to solve the 40 questions. Okay. Now everyone who is sincere enough in prelims preparation should be and will be able to solve the basics. The 40 basics question you should be able to solve. Correct. So the left is the 30 questions. And this 30 question is where these 3 groups of people lie. Getting it? Any sincere candidate out of that 100 question will be able to solve 40 questions because they are good at their basics. The rest 30 questions is where the game changes. Because in the rest 30 questions is where you fall in which group is what matters. Those people who are considering that it's a game of luck, that is where they are going to guess a lot of answers. The 30 questions is where they are going to guess all the answers. Just because they are come to some 50-50 option, they are going to just put and go. Right. So these are the people who can clear if it is their day, who will not clear if it's not their day. This is purely a game of luck. Okay. And most probably whoever will fall into this perception of prelims will 90% not clear the exam. They'll always come and tell you, I was very close, sir, I missed out by 2 marks, sir. This is the narrative that they give you because they are not understanding how to deal with the 30 questions. Okay. The reason they are sincere is they are able to deal the 40 questions, but the 30 questions is where they are failing. Okay, this is the first group. The second group of people are, they believe in the game of chance. They believe in probability. right? Now this is, when I say this group are purely logical or mathematic based. Okay, so let us say that person is playing a poker. Now I sit there and I wait until I get a good hand. Whenever I get a bad hand, I keep throwing the cards. I keep waiting until I get a good hand. Correct? Now if this is the case, I will not be able to win because others are making money and I'm just sitting and waiting for my chance. You're getting this? Now I wait until I get a good hand. Whenever I get a bad hand, I keep throwing it. Now I'll put the same analogy to your prelims. The moment you're reading the question, the moment you got to know that it's a topic that you have not read, you skip that topic. The moment you're reading the question and you know that the question is difficult, you're skipping that question. Why? Because you know that you have not studied the topic. So you're assuming that because I have not studied the topic, I'll not be able to deduce the answers. Getting it? Next, the game of probability. Just because you eliminated two options, now it is 50-50. That is 50% chance that you can go right, 50% chance that you can go wrong. So just because you have eliminated two options, now you are forced or compelled to answer that answer. How many of you have done this mistake? Just because you are eliminating two and you have come to 50-50, now you are compelled to answer it. You people fall in this. That doesn't, there is no rule that just because you eliminated two options, you have to answer it. Nothing like that. Are you getting that? This is where the game of chance plays. And here also, you people will be able to answer the 40 questions. And the game of chance happens in that 30 questions. Yes or no? In the 30 questions, you have eliminated two options, so you have 50-50 probability. You eliminated one option, so you have 1/3 probability. And this is where you try to play. Getting it? So this is game of chance. This is where again a lot of people will get stuck. They don't know how to resolve this conflict. Getting it? So this is the second group of people. All right. Now the third group of people. Now if I consider a lot of people, there's a narrative in that entire media that poker is a gambling game. Correct? If this is true, if poker is a gambling game, Daniel Negreanu is a person who has won World Series of Poker Championship 6 times continuously. Millions of people will play the championship and at the end of the day only one wins. Not like UPSC 1000 people win, only one win. And he has won it 6 times continuously. So are you telling he is the luckiest man in the world? No. Are you telling he is a mathematician that he can calculate so many things happening? No. Then what is the third thing that is making him win? The game of skills. Exactly, I'll put the analogy to prelims. You have seen a group of or chunk of people who have constantly been clearing prelims. And amongst the chunk, there will always be a group of people who are constantly clearing forest cutoff. Yes or no? Every year. How is this possible? Why isn't it prelims is not becoming uncertain to this group of people? What is it that they have deciphered that others have not? Obviously, they are not the most talented people or the most intelligent people in the in this country, right? So they would have figured out something. Something is there that they have figured out. They have learned the rules of the game that you people are still not figuring it out. That is what your attitude should look at. Getting it? Don't look at them like they are very intelligent. They know all the books. They know all the subjects. So if I ask anything, they will be able to. Nothing like that. They have the same competency as you people, the same aptitude as you people. But the only thing is they have learned the rules of the game very well. Okay. Now that is nothing but the game of skills. And today's session, the entire 3 hours that we have designed is only for you to learn how to develop this game of skills. Getting it? Now, I'll be going on with it. Developing game of skills is what the entire 3 hours is. So don't think that I'm going to give one short answer here, what is game of skills, and you're going to learn, go home and apply it. That doesn't work like that. The entire 3 hours, if you can focus and listen to it carefully, you will know how to take skills, how to learn skills and apply the skills. Okay? It is not just one formula. It is a methodology or a process. Okay, so I hope you get that proper procedure of how it works. So this is how it is. Now, one problem is the moment I say game of skills. Okay, the moment I say game of skills, the first thing that will come to your mind is the tricks and cheat codes. Okay, so people have that common misconception that just because it is a game of skills means there is a shortcut to it. Skills is not a shortcut. Okay, Virat Kohli has worked hard to develop that skills in order to maintain that consistency in his game. All right, that is not a shortcut. So when I say it's a game of skills, it doesn't mean that we are giving you a shortcut and you don't have to learn anything, you don't have to work hard, but you will clear this exam. That is a complete misconception and please don't fall for it. And if they are advertising it that way, it is just a trap. Okay, and the most used traps basically is the cheat codes in UPSC. Okay, so now 2 things I'll do. What exactly is the mindset of UPSC when it comes to tricks and cheat codes? Okay, how does UPSC view these things? That is one thing I'll tell. The next thing is, Is tricks always bad, or when to use it and how to use it? This is the two things I'll address. Okay. Now, if you look at this, there is one trick called the use of the word only. Okay. Whenever the only comes, it usually becomes wrong. Or they say nouns. For example, this scheme is brought out by a ministry of something. So that ministry, usually that ministry is wrong. Okay. Or numbers. BRICS summit was held in 2017. So that number is there. So numbers are wrong. So this is actually a trick that people keep flooding in the internet, that this works, and it used to work. Before 2017 or 16, it used to work. If you go and see the previous years, it was correct. Okay. And UPSC got to know about this. Now, after that, look at this. UPSC is purposely framing questions like this. The objective is not to deduce the answer here. The objective is to show you UPSC does not intend you to use the tricks or cheat codes. Look at this. In every option, there is only. Are you getting it? This is not the only question. You go from 2017, open the question papers and see there are a lot of questions where they purposely are using only. The message is very, very straightforward. Okay, why are they putting only? To tell you that please don't use this. Okay, at least blindly. Okay, the next one. The next was, we know science and technology. Technology is the application of science, and whatever questions comes in science and technology, because it's application based questions, most of the time the answer was all the above. This was usually the trend. And what happened, a lot of people started making videos, they started flooding things, telling science and the tech, blindly you put all the above, because most of the answers, if they ask 10 questions, 9 questions all the above will be correct. Correct? So this happened then. This is one question. They are asking about carbon nanotubes. Okay, the application of carbon nanotubes, and they have given you 4 statements. Now with the same logic, if you go, application, right? Application means what? Even if I can't rule out 0.0001%, then the statement will automatically become true. Correct? So automatically what will happen? If I can't rule out such a minute, minuscule percentage, then all the statements will stand true unless for sure I can eliminate that option. So usually people used to mark all the above. Now this is one question, this is on carbon nanotubes. From 2020 you take any science and tech question. Benzene pollution consequences, vertical farming, application of artificial intelligence, non-fungible tokens. You take any questions that have come post 2020, science and technology question, UPSC has made sure it is not all the above, though it will seem like it is all the above. Clear hint telling that please don't use tricks or cheat codes. Very clear. Getting it? This is not working. It has been stopped working from the last 3 years. So the only thing is people are just flooding it and people are trying to use it mechanically. Getting it? I'll give you another example. This is the last one. Okay? There are many more. I can keep going, but the agenda is not about that. The agenda is to send a message to you people that please don't use tricks and cheat codes. At least until I tell you when to. Okay? So the next question was, all extreme statements will be wrong. Whenever the statement becomes extreme, it becomes wrong. Now look at this, all casual workers, all casual workers. And if you see, from 2019 onwards, 2020 onwards, take 2020 paper and look at all the questions and go 2020, 21, 22, only is not being used at all. They have stopped using only. Okay, so if you look at this, now the moment you're saying all casual workers are entitled, is it all, is it too extreme, so let me eliminate this. The answer is all the above there. It is correct, the statement is correct. The reason why they are giving it is, no, don't use those things. Getting it? So this was my point. The point was mainly to tell you that please don't mechanically or blindly keep making a list of the tricks and cheat codes and keep using that in the exam. It will spoil your preparation completely. It may work in some institutes, papers, but whenever you go to UPSC and you try to apply that, you are not able to replicate it. Then you don't know what is happening. You are not able to decide whether you have a problem in your studies or whether you have a problem in your strategy. You are confused then. Getting it? This is the problem most of the time. So you got the mindset of UPSC. UPSC is clearly sending a message. Please don't do that. Okay, it is no use. And see, they are studying the market, yes or no? Whenever the cheat code comes, they are negating the cheat codes by completely playing against it. So they know the market and they are reading the market. That is very, very evident from what the questions they are setting. Yes or no? So please don't do it. But coming to the next one. So sir, does that mean that I don't use the cheat codes at all? Or does that mean that I don't use these tricks at all? I would not say don't use at all. Because in MCQs, there comes some space. They always give you some space where you can use the cheat code. Out of 100 questions, 5 to 10% is your space where you use the tricks. That is first rule. Only 5 to 10%. That means what? Out of 100 questions, you have space to use 5 questions. Not even 10. I will not take it to 10. 5 questions is where you will use the tricks. Now, when to use the tricks? Let us say that out of 100 questions, you have marked 66 questions. 66 questions are done on the basis of your knowledge and skills. Okay. Now, you want to extend 4 more because you are aspiring for IFOS cutoff. You want to get a little more, 10 marks more. You know that by applying 4, and even if 4 goes wrong also, I will not lose out on civil service cutoff. Then you go ahead and apply the trick. Not an issue at all. You go ahead, you have to take that risk. That is a part of the game. Okay. But now, this is how it is. So, 66, 67, you have attempted using knowledge and skills. Go ahead and attempt the next 5 to 6 questions with tricks. Okay. But please don't make tricks as a dominant aspect. Let us say in the first round you made 45 questions with your knowledge. The next 25 questions should not be on tricks. Don't do this. Then everything will go wrong, because UPSC has now realized it and they have made sure that it doesn't happen like that. Okay. So, this is one. Alright. So, when to use it? In the last round where you have marked all the answers and you just want to mark another 4 or 5 extra to make sure that you get that extra 15 marks, you go ahead with it. And how to use it? This is important. You use it with the help of common sense. Tricks should always be used with the help of common sense. How do I use tricks with the help of common sense will be clearly detailed out. Strategy will be clearly given to you by Aditya sir. Okay. That is why I told skills is something that will not be one formula. It is an overall process and there are different things in that, and we will be detailing out in the entire video. And so hence, please make sure of it. So, where you got to know when to use it, the next few videos or the next few hours, you will know how to use it. Okay. Tricks should always be accompanied by common sense. Okay. And that common sense will be developed with a lot of clarity in your basic subjects. When you read a lot of basic subjects, and if you, for example, this is how it is, right? So, in 2022 they are given monazite sands are found naturally in all coastal sands in India. This is the same statement that I am telling you. In 2022 they are given this statement. Okay, monazite sands are found naturally in all coastal sands in India. Okay. Now, if you can attach monazite, obviously no one would have taken monazite and studied about it in detail that you can exactly know what it is. Now, this is an extreme statement, yes or no? This is a trick. Extreme statement is always wrong. This is a trick. But don't directly go, okay, this is extreme statement, so don't mark it wrong there itself. You think about it. You know what is monazite. You know which part of mineral it falls under. Now you think, use your common sense. Okay. Using your common sense, you can say, okay, uranium is there, thorium is there. Can we find it everywhere? No, right? Then if you would have found it everywhere, we would have known that. It is one of the greatest thing then, obviously. So, when you are using your common sense and that sense is telling you, yes, this statement is too extreme to be true, then go ahead with it. Are you getting it? The point is, tricks must be used with common sense. Okay, this is one of it. Aditya sir will be dealing more about it later part, but this is how it is. So, when I tell you that this game that is to be played with the game of skills along with knowledge, it does not mean tricks at all. Okay, so that is what I was trying to prove here. Okay, it is not or anything, it has nothing to do with tricks or cheat codes. Got this up to this point? So, now let us go to the next one. Now, after you learned that it is a game of skills, now there should be something before you get to the skill part. Correct? So, before you learn how to drive, square drive or square cut or whatever it is, before you hit a 6, before you learn to hit a 6 in cricket, you should learn how to defend. Okay, you should learn how to hold the bat, right? So, the part is, before you get to that skill part in prelims, it is very much necessary for you to have this. Core essentials in order to clear prelims. If you don't have this 4, there is no point of writing prelims. Take this from me. Okay, I'll give you proper example for everything. The first, your grip over basics. Okay, I told you out of 100 questions, I am being very conservatively telling the number 45. At least 50 to 60 questions are actually coming from basics, but let me conservatively tell only 45. Okay, so out of this 100 questions, let us say 45 questions are coming from basics. Okay, now let us say a question is coming on parliament and you made a mistake. Okay, let us say another question came on Swadeshi movement. You made a mistake. These are coming from conventional books. These are basics. You are making a mistake in basics. If you make a mistake in basics, it's like you got a full toss and you didn't hit a hit. You didn't hit a 6, you got bowled. Okay. Now, if you start making mistakes in basics, there is no point you can clear prelims. Take this from, there is no point. You cannot offset the mistakes in basics with the next group of questions that you are going to face in skills. You cannot. Okay. So, the first and the foremost thing is to have very good accuracy in your basics. 45 questions. Okay. Out of 45 questions, at least you should be scoring 42. 40 to 42 answers should be right. You should hit the bullseye. And these are simple questions, guys. Go take the previous year question and analyze. Basics will always be 50-55 questions. I am conservatively telling 45. And here you should have more than 90% accuracy. You cannot make a mistake here. Okay. And those chunk of people who keep clearing prelims consistently, they will almost have close to 100% accuracy here. They will not miss out. If a question is there on basics of polity, they will not miss out. Fundamental rights, it will not go wrong. DPSP, it will never go wrong. If you are going wrong in fundamental rights and DPSP, then it's a crime. Similar to that. Getting it? So, the first and foremost is grip over basics is the first important. So, a lot of people keep asking me, right? They keep coming and asking me, sir, what about current affairs? I'm feeling anxious. First, learn the basics. If you don't know the basics, obviously, then what will the current affairs? The current affairs itself will not make any sense. Getting it? So, this is the first thing. Grip over basics is the most important, pivotal thing in prelims. You take that confidence, no one can stop you. Because see, 45 questions is 90 marks, guys. You're almost there. Another 20 marks, that's all. 20 marks is 10 more questions. Why are you struggling so much? Just 10 more questions and you are there. That is how your attitude should be. Getting it? So, first, this. If there's nothing, then skip that. If you don't have the grip over basics, might as well just skip it. Okay. The second thing, current affairs and the game of confidence. Now, this is another paraphernalia filled in everyone. That is the fear filled in everyone that I have not read current affairs. See, pragmatically speaking, how many people who are going to prelims do you think will study 1 year continuously all the paper, make all the notes and revise it 5 times and go to the exam and sit? How many people pragmatically will be doing that? Less than 1%. Less than 1% will be doing that. Okay? Because it takes a lot of efforts. The returns on the time is very, very low. Correct? So, instead of that, what is the best strategy? The best strategy is use a magazine. And most of the people will do that. We have been clearing prelims consistently and we also do that. We are not boasting anything or trying to portray a very amazing picture. We will be very frank. Even we used to not do that. Yes, as a fresher, reading newspaper editorials is important, but this is not a session about that. This is a session about purely on prelims. Okay. In prelims, it is okay if you have skipped out on the newspaper reading. Okay. Take one magazine, read that. How to read, we will get there. Okay, few people, Thanmay sir will be taking a session on how to go about the current affairs part, but this is generic thing. Okay, in current affairs, you treat current affairs as one subject, just like how there is polity, just like how there is modern India. How you are reading polity 5 times, how you are reading modern India 5 times. Treat current affairs as one subject. Just like how polity 15 questions are coming, modern India 10 questions will come. Like that, treats current affairs as one subject and 10 questions will come from that. Treat it like that. So just like how polity you are reading 5 times. Read the current affairs also 5 times. Any magazine, I am not going to tell which magazine, any magazine but one magazine. Okay. But this is very important, carry the confidence. I will tell you, see, this happens to a lot of my students. The moment they go and sit, they are so afraid about current affairs. They have so much of insecurity that they have not studied current affairs, though they have studied one magazine many number of times, but they feel I have not studied X, Y, Z also, sir. So I am very, very afraid that the current affairs, I may fail in the current affairs. So what happens when they go and sit? The moment they are seeing a question that they have not studied in the book, oh, this is a current affairs question. Oh, this is a current affairs question. Oh, this is a current affairs question. In 5 questions, they are gone. Forget the next 95 questions. It is already gone. They have left the game there. So, what happens in that fear? All the 100 questions will seem like it is coming from current affairs. Even those questions where they are just testing the basics, where they are testing the logic, everything seems like it is coming from current affairs. Getting this? This is why you have to carry a lot of confidence. Tell yourself and go, I have read one magazine, it's a good magazine and it's covered most of the issues. I have read this magazine, I have gone there, with that knowledge I am going to deduce the answer. If I can deduce, I will deduce. If I am not able to answer, no one will be able to answer. Because I told you, how many people will do it consistently? 1%. Getting it? So why are you afraid? If you are not able to do the current affairs, no one else will be able to do the current affairs. That should be the confidence. When you have that confidence, even if it is a current affairs based question, there will be a lot of hints and common sense and basics with which you can actually deduce the answers. Okay. So this is how it is. Current affairs, one you have to read. I am not telling skip it completely. Yes, you have to, but don't overdo it. The second is carry the confidence with it. Don't overhype this over this. Never overhype this over this. Okay, Thanmay sir will emphasize how to go about this, but please don't overemphasize current affairs on basics. The third is the art of managing time. Okay, this is a short trick. We usually will not give out these tricks over YouTube videos, but we felt let us give it all. It should be there with everyone. All right. Now look, anytime you go to mains exam, people will tell you follow the time strategy. Okay, 11 minutes for a 15 marker, 8 minutes for a 10 marker, or a 7 minutes for a 10 marker. This will be the strategy, right? So you will keep progressing towards it. So when you start the test series, you may be at 13 minutes for a 15 marker. But as you keep writing more and more answers, you keep reducing the time. You come to that 11 minutes. So the time as a parameter is forced on you from the beginning in mains. Okay. Now this is where a lot of people fail. Time is not forced on you in prelims. Okay, the only thing or the only parameter that is forced on you is content. Okay, so what happens? You will end up solving a lot of MCQs. Okay, in polity you have solved thousands of them, in economy you have solved thousands of them, but never have you managed time in solving them. Okay, in the 2 hours, it is very much necessary for you to have control over the time. Okay, the time itself will play a very, very important role. I'll tell you in the next slide. But how to handle that time in the 2 hours should start from the time you start taking mock tests. It should never start there sitting there for 2 hours. What happens usually is, here you are writing very calmly, you are taking all the MCQs, you are taking the time in the world. You go there suddenly, now you have the time constraint. The same fundamental rights where you had mastered in your mock test, now it is seeming difficult. Why? Because you have the pressure, you have the time constraint. If you had practiced that there itself, it wouldn't have been difficult. Okay. The point here is, I'm talking about the core essential. The core essential is you have to learn the art of managing time. Okay, from the beginning. Starting from the first mock test, you keep managing time. How to do it, we'll get there. But I'm getting to this. These are the core essentials. So time is an equal parameter to content. Okay, why? Because a lot of people, have you heard last 2 years when people come out and tell, I was not able to finish the paper. The paper was very lengthy. You have heard this. The reason is because they are neglecting time. You people are so engrossed in reading more and more and solving more and more MCQs, you are neglecting time. Here, you are able to get that sufficient time. You are able, sir, I am able to solve the 100 questions in 2 hours, not an issue. But there, why you are not able to? The reason because the environment changes. The parameters changes. Okay. So you have to set your time in such a way that you have practiced under the time constraint. There, if you want to do in 2 hours, here try to do it in 1.5 hours. Your rate of assimilation of question, the way you are reading it, should be very, very fast. It doesn't come at one go. I am not telling tomorrow only you will start doing it. But every mock test that you write, you are only focused on marks. So this many went wrong, this many went right, this is my marks. But what is the time constraint? Have you put any parameter about time? How long did you take? You are getting it? If it's an easy paper and if you are taking 2 hours, then what's the point? If it's a basic question paper, you have read polity and let's say you are solving a basic question paper, you should not take 2 hours. You should reduce the time limit. You should try to put yourself in that pressure. You should have to push yourself. So learn the art of time management from the beginning itself. Don't at one go to the 2 hours and start doing it. You will fail. Okay. The last is the belief in yourself. As I told you, this is how it goes. The moment I read the question, okay, let us say that you skipped Santal rebellion. Okay, you did not read it. The moment you are reading that the question is on Santal rebellion, you read the question. What happened or what are the consequences of Santal rebellion? The moment you saw the word Santal rebellion, your mind tells, damn, I did not read this question. This is gone. If you develop that attitude, the moment you are seeing the topics that you have not read, you will not be able to deduce the answer at all. Okay, you should not carry any type of negative attitude. You should not carry. You should be very, very neutral. Okay, don't carry any type of negative attitude. Irrespective of the topics you have studied or not studied, doesn't matter. You should tell yourself, whatever knowledge I have, I will be able to deduce the answer from that, irrespective of the topic, whether I have studied or not studied. Because you are studying not to expect what you have studied to come in the exam, you are studying to develop common sense, which you will use in that exam to deduce the answer. You understood the difference, correct? And that is what will help you get through. When you go with that attitude, I have the knowledge, let me use that knowledge to deduce the answer, you will not judge any question at all. Okay, you will see everything neutrally. Okay, this is there, let me see what are the things. You are getting it? So these are the core essentials for clearing prelims. Before you apply the game of skills, whatever the chunk, the 30 questions where you will be applying the game of skills, comes the 45 questions where you have to get very good accuracy. These are the core essentials for acing there. Okay, so before getting to sir, I didn't do that, sir, I didn't do this, sir, I'm getting afraid, all these things, sir, trick is not working, sir, I'm doing a lot of all these things, make sure that these checkpoints are marked. Okay, how to handle current affairs, Thanmay sir will elaborate on that, don't worry about it. How to manage time, we will talk a little bit more on that, but the basics is what is the crux that you have to take here. Okay, so this is about the core essentials. So one, you got to know that prelims is game of skills, but it is not only the game of skills, but you have to have the basics right. So you got to know the core essentials. Now how to go about it, how to prepare for prelims, because most of the student, what happens is, let us say that you prepared for mains, suddenly prelims came, so you want to switch over prelims, so what will you do? Okay, let me start prelims. So from next day you will take up some polity book, you will read it for 5 days, then you will take up modern India book, you will read it for 3 days, then whenever you get time, you will solve 100 questions, then again you will take some environment book, you will solve, then your friend will come and tell some new current affairs book has come, you will go read that. Are you getting that? This is what most of the people will do. This is completely abstract and random. How are you validating whether you have studied effectively or not? For 5 days you studied Lakshmikant or for 10 days you studied Lakshmikant, what is the validation that you studied effectively? There is no validation. Okay. Now, after studying Lakshmikant, when are you getting back to Lakshmikant? You have studied polity, when are you getting back to polity again? How many subjects will you finish and get back? So whenever you are bored, today I am feeling like studying polity, tomorrow I am feeling like studying modern India, don't do this. Systematic preparation should always be the role. Okay. Now for systematic preparation, this is how it is. Subject, test approach. Okay. You have to follow this. What is ST approach? Very simple. I will take polity. I will decide that I will finish polity in 5 days. 6th day should always be test. And the test should always be 2 tests, one in the morning and one in the evening. Okay. Next, I will take modern India. I will fix it 4 days. 4 days for modern India. The 5th day will be a test. Morning one, evening one. Why am I taking the test? The test is being taken to validate that I have studied the subject properly. If I am scoring, see, first of all, after reading Lakshmikant, don't take full length test and try to solve. That is stupidness. If you are reading polity, please take polity paper, some basic paper. Okay, basics. Take that basic paper and solve. Okay. Now in the morning and evening when you solve, and if you are getting somewhere between 95 to 105, any basics paper. Okay. You take any basic paper and solve 95 to 105, that means your basics are correct. You are going in the right direction. Go to modern India, study for 4 days. The 5th day, take 2 papers, morning one, evening one, basic papers, solve. 95 to 105, fine, your basics are right, you have done your effective studies, go to the next one. Are you able to, like this, make sure that 5, 4, 3, geography 5 days, next one basic test. That after every subject you have to take tests to validate yourself that your basics are strong. And I have told you how to validate. Marks in the range of 95 to 105 is good. That means that your basics are okay. It is not very weak. Getting it? So this is how it is. So always follow this approach. Okay. Now, next is the role of iterations. The secret behind iterations. This is very, very important. Okay. Now you followed anyway ST approach. Okay. So what happened? 5 days polity, test. 5 days modern India, test. 5 days of geography, test. So you have done that one round. So let us assume that over a period of the next 25 days, you finished all the subjects. Okay. I am telling current affairs also treat it as a subject. So give current affairs also 5 days. Study current affairs, do some basic current affairs ka this. But don't worry about the marks here. Here you have that leverage. Don't worry about the marks. Solve some current affairs just for the sake of it, but don't worry about the marks. But treat that also as a subject. Okay. So let us say that you have done all the subjects. You finished all the subjects, you have finished one bucket, come back again. This is iteration. Reiterating the same thing again. You have to do the same thing again. Alright. But there will be one slight difference. In the beginning for polity you had given 5 days, bring it down to 4 days. Okay. And write the test. The test will never change. Again on the 5th day you will write the test. It will be 2 tests, in the morning one and in the evening one. Don't overdo by doing 4 tests. That's again wrong. Okay. Now the same thing, repeat the cycle again. All the subjects are over. Now last time in the first round you took 25 days. Now you will take only 15 days or 18 days. Come back again. Repeat the cycle. But this time polity, instead of 4 days you are going to give 3 days. Okay. Go again. Finish the cycle. You will be finishing it in 12 days. Come back again. Getting it? Now you are going to give Lakshmikant or you are going to give polity 2 days. So finally you will reach a stage where if I tell you to read polity, 1 day is enough. You will study from morning to evening and in the night you will give one test. This is where you have reached the peak of that basics. This is how the preparation should be. If I tell you to read any subject, from morning to evening, you have the competency, you have done so many iterations that you have the confidence to study from morning to evening and finish the subject itself. Okay, and then in the evening you are able to get the test. Okay, so this should always be the way to go. That is why it has to be systematic. See, when it is systematic, you know the pattern very well. You are not going to miss out on anything. Ancient India, medieval India, okay, you are given 3 days. After that you have written the test. Fine, not an issue. See, you are covering all the subjects. The marks may vary a little bit here and there, but when you do keep iterating the same thing again and again, over the period, let us say you are in the 4th or the 5th iteration, your marks will be consistent in all the subjects. Believe me, it will become. It will be consistent. You will be consistently scoring 95 to 105 in all the subjects. Though in the beginning you may feel economy I was less, polity I was more, over iterations it will all come to the same thing. When it comes to the same thing, that means you have achieved that level of expertise over that subject, and that is all is needed, and that is enough. You're getting this? So this is how you systemize your preparation. Okay. Now I have told you how to systemize your preparation. The second is have some type of accountability factor. Accountability means you have to be answerable. Very, very diligent and very disciplined people are answerable to themselves, so that guilt itself will push them to do more. That is fine, but we are not that diligent, correct? So keep an accountability factor where, see, after every round, let us say you studied polity for 5 days, you took 2 tests, keep a chart in your room, write the marks that you got. Next, modern India 2 tests, write the marks that you got. Next, like that you finished all the subjects, you have written all the marks there. Come back again, you are doing the second iteration. When you are doing the second iteration, also go with the same flow. Okay, and write the marks in the second iteration, also write the marks. So you will be able to see the change in the trend and share this mark sheet with your parents, your mentors, your peers, your friends, someone who genuinely cares for you, who genuinely wants you to improve, not with someone just for showing off. Because if you are answerable, it pushes you to do things. Especially in India, that is how it is. Correct? So it gives you that sense of accountability. No, I have to do. Otherwise, they will ask me to do it. Otherwise, my mom may ask me to do it. Otherwise, my mom may ask me why you are not doing it. So that may push you to do it. So have that accountability factor. Please don't feel that you are very independent and do all those things. Okay? That accountability factor works to push yourself to do. Because see, what happens is usually you do the first iteration, it will be very entertaining. Second iteration becomes boring because I have already studied, man. What's there to study again? But don't do this mistake. Okay? You have to break that thing and go again. So this accountability factor again plays a role there. Got it? So 1, I have told you how to systemize, 2, I have told you how the accountability works. Now, when you are systemizing the subjects, prioritize the subjects very, very clearly when you are doing the flow. You cannot give 10 days for ancient India, you cannot give 10 days for medieval India and 5 days for modern India. Or another thing is 10 days for medieval India, 10 days for ancient India and 1 month for modern India. Don't do this. Okay? First, prioritize the subjects. The most important subjects like polity, economy, modern India, environment, geography. Okay, then comes other things. Okay, then comes the international relations, then comes the ancient medieval and other things. Prioritize the subjects and your flow should be based on the priority of that subject. Okay, and the second thing is, see, I can give a person 10 days to read the book of Lakshmikant, or I can give the same person 7 days to read the book of Lakshmikant. Okay, now our human mentality is such that if I give 10 days also you will read, if I give 7 days also you will read. So you should never set your target in such a way that you should be in the comfort zone. Okay, let me coolly read 2 chapters every day and finish Lakshmikant or polity in 20 days. You should always set the targets in such a way that you should keep pushing. You keep pushing. It is okay if you couldn't finish. The iteration tells that you should never search for perfection in the first go at all. So in the first iteration, let us say you have fixed 5 days for Lakshmikant. You couldn't finish Lakshmikant, it is okay. You learned 70% of it, that is fine. You go ahead with writing the test. You got this? So 1, prioritize your subject well. Don't try to do it randomly. The second is fix deadlines with a very, it should be restricted. It should not be spread out. You should not be relaxing. You should be pushing yourself. Okay? Yes, here and there you can take a break for few days. 1 day break after doing one subject. That is all you are this thing. But don't give too much time for a subject. If you give too much time, you will take too much time. If you give less time, you will take less time. That is how human mentality works. Okay? And don't try to achieve perfection in one iteration at all. Okay? The perfection over a particular subject will always come over several iterations. Okay? And believe that in yourself. Got this? So this is how the preparation should be. Fine. So you got to know the core essentials, and now you got to know how to attain those core essentials. Alright, the basics and the current affairs, treat the current affairs as one subject, then it automatically becomes one of the subjects. Just like polity, there is current affairs. Alright, and just like you are giving 5 days for polity, give 5 days for current affairs, that's all. Just like you are revising polity for 5 times, revise current affairs also for 5 times. As simple as that. Just like how 15 questions come in current affairs, 15 questions may also come in polity. You are getting the hang of it. Good. So this is about systemizing it. The next is handling the critical 120 minutes. See, a lot of my students who are very, very competent, who come from one of the elite institutions, they are very knowledgeable, they go and screw up the exam and come. The only reason is the moment they have not even entered, they come the previous day, they come to me, their hands are already shivering. I mean, I don't know, until that previous day, right, they are alright, they are laughing, they are joking, they are very well prepared, they practiced all the mocks, they are very well prepared, but the moment one day before, the penultimate day of prelims, their hands are shaking. Okay, this is happening, the reason is because you are overhyped it. Okay, in your mind you are so overhyped about that exam that you are so fearful about the exam, you have lost that, that overhype has actually overtaken your confidence, though you have worked so hard. Okay, so handling that 120 minutes decides 60% of chances whether clear or not. If you cannot handle that 120 minutes properly, though you have been a very good student, though you have been scoring consistently very high in these exams, you will not be able to clear there. See, handling that 120 minutes is all about holding your nerves. Okay, not letting emotions play havoc there. Holding your emotions and making sure your logic plays the game there, not your emotions. Okay, so this handling 120 minutes can come because of this. What I'll tell you how to go about it. But overall, handling that 120 minutes, you have to keep handle of 2 things. Okay, now in the next slide, I am going to talk about how to handle that 2 hours. So don't worry about it. But in that 2 hours, that is 120 minutes, I am not using the word 2 hours because don't look at it as 2 hours. Look at it as 120 minutes only. Got it? Because every minute is a very important aspect there. Fine. So first, in that 120 minutes, what to do? This is what I want you to tell. I wanted to tell. The first is the importance of time. Okay. Now look at this. You have 50 questions. Let us say you got section A paper. In that section A paper, unfortunately, the first 15 questions are very, very difficult. You're getting shocked by reading the questions. You have not read about that at all. So let us say the first 15 questions are very, very difficult, and you are sitting and thinking there. What is this? I don't know. I did so much work. All these things. So you have already decided your result there only. Okay, so assume that let us say you took 70 to 80 minutes there itself. Alright, now if you are taking 70 to 80 minutes in the first 50 questions, okay, if you are taking 80 minutes in the first 50 questions, the last 50 questions you are giving only 40 minutes. Now, let us assume in the first 50 questions it was very difficult. I will assume that the last 50 questions is very easy. Now, though it is very easy, you yourself have made it difficult. Why have you made it difficult? Because you did not manage time well. Automatically you are now in a flaw. Let us say in the beginning there was science and tech questionnaire, or there was ancient India questions which you were not that good about and it was very difficult. Then came polity and economy, which is actually your core competency. Now the polity and economy also you will screw up because you don't have time. Okay, so time as a parameter is very, very important. So how to do that in this critical 120 minutes is always have checkpoints. Always have checkpoints. 20 questions, 10 minutes, 20 questions, 10 minutes, 20 questions, 10 minutes. The moment you are finishing 20 questions, your eyes should go to the watch. 20 questions, 10 minutes, 20 questions, 10 minutes. When you do that, 100 questions, 50 minutes, done. Your first round of reading all the 100 questions should be done in 50 minutes. This will not happen at one go. I am telling you, I told you the art of time management starts from today itself. When you start doing the mock test, you have to manage the time. Correct? So by the time you go to prelims and sit in that exam, you would have got that competency to read 20 questions in 10 minutes. That's 30 seconds per question. Okay? The point is reading. I'm not telling you how to deduce the answer. Okay? You mark those answers where you know for sure, but you read everything and go. So 20 questions, 10 minutes. This art can only come with practice. So please make sure that that importance of time is given there. So there in the 120 minutes, the moment you are done with 20 questions, you should look at the watch. Let us say it has gone to 12 minutes. That means next 20 questions you have only 8 minutes. You're getting it? So you make that adjustments in such a way that 50 minutes you have to complete the entire 100 questions, reading the 100 questions, not solving the 100 questions. I'll tell you what's the advantage of this. Okay? Now, next is the importance of content. Okay? I have given a brief of this. When you look at the content, stop looking at that content with any type of positive attitude or negative attitude. Both are wrong. Positive attitude. Let us say that the question is on fundamental rights. You have worked enormously on fundamental rights. That excitement will make you go wrong. It will not allow you to read all the options only. The moment you are reading two options, oh, this is correct, you will mark it. You will make silly mistake. Don't have a positive attitude towards any content. Just because that is coming from your favorite area doesn't mean the question is easy. And also what happens is, just because that is coming from your favorite subject, you will be compelled to mark. Geography is my favorite subject, so why am I not able to mark? You will mark it and it will be wrong only. Getting it? So the importance of content is don't attach positive or negative attitude towards it. So I told you the problem of positive, now I'll tell you the problem of negative. The moment you are reading, oh, I don't know this, I don't know this. The game will not be on you know or you don't know. The game will be, see in UPSC, if the question appears difficult, the answer will actually be easy. This is a trick, I shouldn't tell you this, okay, because it may not be true next time. But whenever the question appears difficult, there will always be hints. Okay, you can use that hints, you can use the common sense to actually reduce the answer. That is how it is. So the moment you are reading a difficult question, you say, oh, I didn't read this, and you skip, you are actually losing on the opportunity. Getting it? So if you had taken just this thing and you applied common sense, you would have reduced it. With Aditya sir will be showing you a lot of these things. I'm just telling you this. So content should never be treated positively, negatively. It should always be treated neutral. And you should always go one question at a time. Okay, let us say you're doing polity questions. You read two questions. Two questions were very difficult. You're going to the third question. Already in your mind, oh, polity this time is very, very difficult. I am gone. Polity was my strong area, now they have given it very difficult. Everything, the entire narrative is running in your mind. Okay, don't do all those things. Treat that one question at a time. Okay, this question is there, I couldn't do it because it is very difficult. So no one can do it. Go to the next one. Okay, this question is moderate. Let me see if I can do it. So take every question by its merit. And once you're done with it, go to the next one. Don't have any residue over it at all. Okay, the point is you will start judging one yourself and two the paper also there only. You have not done 15 questions and you will already keep judging, oh, this time the paper is very difficult, man. This is what happens. In 15 minutes, you will be judging whether the paper is easy or not. This is a wrong approach. Okay, so content should not have any positive or negative connotations. Okay, don't judge content at all. Okay, take the content one question at a time. Got this? That's the importance of the content. The next is the most important aspect. This most of the people know, and Aditya sir will be talking about the rounding system. We from our institute, whoever student comes, we always tell them to have that rounding system. Rounding system is doing at least 3 or 4 rounds of the paper. There are two ways to do it. You either do all the 100 questions 3 times, or you spread out the entire 100 questions in such a way that you go from 1 to 100 for 2 hours. That is, you are doing only one round. From first minute to 120th minute, you are just going 1 to 100. That is only one round. And this is something we will not, we don't like to entertain. I mean, there are outliers who have done that and cleared that also. So I am not telling that that is the only way to go or this is the only way to go. I am just telling we usually will not advise that 1 to 100. Okay. The reason is I will tell you in a minute. But the one thing is we always want you to follow a rounding system. You should minimum follow 3 rounds in prelims. Okay. And in that Aditya sir will be dwelling on the rounding system and how to go about it, which comes in the skill part. But one is that the point I am trying to make is in that 120 minutes, it is very, very critical for you to finish the first round in 50 minutes. Very, very critical. Okay. When I say 50 minutes, that gives you 30 seconds per question, 20 questions, 10 minutes. It is very, very critical, guys. You will know the benefit only once you read all the 100 questions in 50 minutes and then see the confidence of yours. I am not telling solve the 100 questions in 50 minutes. Read the 100 questions in 50 minutes. Mark only those things where you know for sure is correct. There will be easy questions. Okay. But if you can finish all the 100 questions, reading all the 100 questions in 50 minutes, 2 things will happen. One, now you are confident because now you have read all the questions. Okay. You are familiar. Your mind is familiar. You are not open to shocks. Shock has already happened and gone. Okay, now you are familiar. Okay, now let me take a call. Your mind is now preparing. Okay, now let us see what to do. That is the first thing, and that space is what will give you confidence. That's the first and the foremost thing. The second is you can gauge the paper now. Now, after reading 100 questions, you know environment is easy, history is very difficult, polity is damn easy. And this will this will help you to take risk in those areas where it is easy and to stop in those areas where it is difficult. That is all. This luxury you get only if you can finish all the 100 questions in 50 minutes. Now, if a person is spreading out the entire 100 questions for 2 hours, let us say that person is doing, I told you the first 50 questions that person did in half an hour. Okay, the next 50, the first 50 questions, let us say that person did in 1 hour. The next 50 questions that person has 1 more hour. But let us say the last 50 questions are difficult, that person needs more time. What will he do? Are you getting this? Now if you do the rounding system, now you know, okay, these subjects are very difficult, so I need to give more time, so let me do this very quickly. And you can take a call and you can change the process and strategies because you know all the 100 questions now. So we always, okay, in that 120 minutes, we always want our students to do this in 50 minutes. Okay, how to go about the rounding system, Aditya sir will be talking about, but this is what we want you to do in that 120 minutes. One, time. Okay, every 20 questions, look at the watch. The second, content. Don't have any type of connotations or your background music running on any content. Treat it very neutral. Okay, and the third is your rounding system. It has to happen by 50 minutes. Okay, now, to make sure that 120 minutes is properly done, this becomes very, very important. Okay, so I keep telling this story to my students, like Babbar Azam is one of the best cricketer of Pakistan, and when he was asked in interview, how is it that you were able to improve this form, he told Virat Kohli had given him an advice. Okay, the advice was, when you are practicing in the net, don't practice like you're playing in the nets, visualize that you are playing a match. When you visualize like you are playing a match, play every ball like it is a match. Okay, so if you can apply the same analogy here, when you are doing your net practice, that is when you are writing your mock test, don't treat it as a mock test. Treat it as your exam. Okay, when I say treat it as your exam, both physically and mentally, not only mentally or only physically. So get an environment that is silent, exam like condition, take OMR sheet, and you are going to sit for 2 hours. Though you want to, okay, whatever time you want to fix, you are going to sit entirely for that. Let us say you fixed 1.5 hours. The question paper was very easy, so you finished in 1 hour. Don't get up. You are fixed for 1.5 hours, you sit for 1.5 hours, because the temptation, usually see most of the things what happened is, last 15 minutes is where most of the people will screw up prelims. What happens is, in the last 15 minutes, either they are racing for time or they are very, very afraid, so they start marking around 10-15 questions like that only. In 15 minutes, they mark 15 questions. And in that 15 questions, 14 will go wrong. Okay, and that negative marking is what they'll push them back. These are the students who come back and tell us, we lost it by 2 marks, sir, we were on the edge, sir, because they couldn't handle the temptation. That is why we tell, once you do that 100 question and once you do the rounding system, you are always in control of the exam. Because time is on your side. You know, okay, you are controlling the time there. When time starts controlling you, you will do all these random things. So how do you control time? Is mainly because of, here's this. Simulate every every mock test like exam. Sit in a proper place, sit for that required amount of time, use OMR sheets. Okay, OMR eats away your time. You don't know how much it eats. It eats away your time. So use OMR sheets. Okay, so one, handling temptations. Okay, that is, in your mock test you have the luxury. No one cares how much you score. So you take it easy and mark. Don't do that. If you want to mark anything, you use skills or you use knowledge. If you don't have both, then don't mark it. My gut is telling, sir, my instinct is telling, sir, I'm feeling, sir, nothing will work. You use either skills or you use either knowledge, not tricks. Okay, if you can. So that is what you will be practicing. The next is avoiding silly mistakes. Why you have to take is, in mock test, you are very cool. So you are reading the question very vaguely and going. Okay, now when you keep doing that, suddenly in the exam when you sit, you want to read everything line by line, your mind will not, it will not accept. If you are able to read every time the question with full focus from the beginning itself, your mind is conditioned. Getting it? So if your mind is conditioned, then you will not make silly mistakes. Have you read? You wouldn't have read the question properly. You would have misunderstood the question. Then you would not read all the 4 options. Getting it? Then is, sir, answer I knew, in the OMR I marked it wrong. All these silly mistakes happen because you have not practiced it. The more and more you simulate, the more and more you will not make such silly mistakes. Okay, we call it runtime error. When we are reading, we will just overlook things. Our mind will not have the patience to read everything clearly. Suddenly when you are going to that exam, now you want to read, but the mind is not ready to read. Because you have not trained it that way. Getting it? That is why, make sure that to avoid silly mistakes, you have to take the net practice very seriously. Okay. The last is the power. The third is the power of visualization. This is what the Virat Kohli's logic is. If you keep visualizing yourself that you are there in the match, that you are there in the match, that you are there in the match, when you play the match, you are not nervous. Because you have played that thing so many times in your mind and your body is prepared for it. It is conditioned. So that I told you, some students come shivering. That shivering will not happen. Because you have been writing the mock test with exam like conditions so much of time, you just feel tomorrow is another day. I'll go and sit and write. Getting this? That power of visualization is very important. Visualize yourself sitting there, writing the test, take that as serious as possible. Okay? And the last is mastering the art of time management. I cannot emphasize more on this. I have already told you, the one aspect that has been overlooked in this entire market when it comes to preliminary exam is time. Okay? And if you can remember, of late, the last 3-4 years, paper has become lengthy by design. They have purposely made it lengthy. The questions are a lot of bulkier compared to the previous times. Getting it? So if you don't practice this, you are going to screw up the exam. Fine. The last aspect that I want to address is, sir, what is it that I have to take from the previous year questions of UPSC and what is it that I have to take from the test series of coaching institutes? Okay. Now, please, what exactly you have to take, Aditya sir will be taking the next session, but I will tell you the crux of it. Now look, let us say an institute is designing a paper. We will design it in such a way that we try to see the extremes of content and try to put it there. That is, see, UPSC may give you hints. It may give you a chance for using common sense. Okay. Usually coaching institutes will not do that. The reason is they want to play with extremes. Alright. So if we are asking about Swadeshi movement, we'll make sure that we'll ask about Swadeshi movement that is not there in your conventional books. Obviously, otherwise you will get it right. Getting it? So the point I'm trying to make is, now when you take the test papers of coaching institutes, what is the end result that you have to absorb is learning exercise. I don't want you to develop skills by taking the coaching institute papers. You cannot develop skills by using coaching institute's paper. So what you can take is only learning exercise. For example, you have studied 5 points about Swadeshi movement from conventional book. In coaching institute, they had given 2 extra statements which was not there in your conventional book. Learn the 2 extra thing. So now you know 7 points about Swadeshi movement. That is the objective of the test papers of coaching institutes. Don't try to apply skills there. Don't try to do anything else. Got it? It's purely a game of learning exercise. Fine. Aditya sir will be elaborating on how that learning exercise should be. But I'm just telling you, this is what you have to take. What needs to be done from previous year questions of UPSC. Okay. This is what is the next session. What should be taken from the previous year questions of UPSC. How to look at the previous year questions of UPSC. How it is not a shortcut, but it is by design like that and you have to realize it. Okay. And this is the first step in understanding the game of skills. Okay. So the next session of previous is Thanmay sir will be starting in detail about this. He will dwell into this and then Aditya sir will come into this. Okay. However, I have told you from the start to beginning, it is the game of skills that we are talking about. Fine. So finally, see, I want you to do one thing. The first is, there are 2 ways. In the world of entrepreneurs, there is a most respected animal. Which do you think it is? Which is the most respected, revered animal in the world of entrepreneurship? Cockroaches. Why? They survive anywhere. They can face any type of adversity. Any entrepreneur, the initial period will always be adversity. If you can get through that rough period, if you can get through that storm, then comes the exponential growth in your organization. Okay, but 90% of the people will not survive. Why? Because that adversity is very difficult for them to take. Right? In the same manner, we have, in this world of competitive exams, if you take any animal, any predatory animal, here I am showing a tiger. If you take a tiger, a lion and a predator, know one thing, there is a concept called law of wasted efforts. Have you heard this? You know what is law of wasted efforts? Okay, if this tiger goes hunting for 10 times, how many times do you think it will be successful? Only 1 time. Okay, 85 to 90% of the time the tiger fails. Okay, half of the fish that is born to any particular fish, half of the baby fishes will die. Okay, most of the water in nature will go back to oceans. It will rain over the ocean, so it is wasted. So the point is, then in nature, if you take an animal, okay, the law of wasted effort says that don't dwell on the efforts thinking that it is wasted. Any effort should always be taken as a learning exercise and you should never keep trying. And if you try enough number of times, not thinking that the efforts are wasted, you will eventually reach your goal. This is the law of wasted efforts. Okay, so just because you scored less, just because you are that subject you are not able to master very quickly, don't give up thinking that the efforts are wasted. Keep trying and keep trying, eventually you will get it. Alright, the point is you should always keep moving towards progressive. You should not go back. That is, there is a famous saying by Denzel Washington. He says, it is better to fall forward than to fall backward. Don't try not to fall. Falling is fine, but at least fall forward. That is, when you fall, take some learning exercise and fall forward so that you don't commit the same mistakes by falling backward. Okay. So with that, I'll like to end the session. All right. I hope it was helpful. All right. And please make sure that you systemize your preparation. You apply the skills. All right. The session is not about giving you shortcuts. The session is about teaching you the process in this preparation. All right. So with this, I'll end, and I will invite Thanmay sir, who will be dwelling much into the skills aspect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sudeep sir. So far, Sudeep sir has talked about some of the important aspects that you have to keep in mind while preparing for prelims. These are the certain essential elements you have to keep in mind while preparing for any sort of exams, especially for UPSC prelims. So you got to know what are all the things that you have to keep in mind. Now we'll try to understand some of the important aspects of acquiring the knowledge, management of the same knowledge, and acquisition of knowledge. Okay. So one of the basic question always lies in front of you people is what to study for prelims. So it's a very basic question, right? And it also looks very naive. Say what to study for prelims. We know what are all the things we need to study for this prelims. We have to study NCERT, standard books, test series. These are all the standard things that we have to refer for any examination, especially regarding UPSC prelims. So how many of you already set the demand? For example, if you take any examination in the world, every examination has three important components. The first and foremost component is you will be acquiring the knowledge to the designated sources. For example, NCERT standard books and current affairs. And after that, you will be managing the knowledge. As Sudeep sir has already elaborated, you will be doing iteration of revision in order to make sure that you have the conceptual clarity and you can able to pull out the data in the examination hall. And the third point is that you will be taking a lot of test series in order to execute your knowledge. So you take prelims, mains, or whatever it may be the stage of exam, you will be acquiring the knowledge and you will be managing the knowledge and you will be executing the knowledge. So this is a kind of a thumb rule for almost all the kind of examination. So whatever the things that you have to keep in mind while you acquire the knowledge. In this session, like I will be largely concentrating on how to acquire the knowledge properly. And Aditya sir will largely talk about how to manage the knowledge and how to execute the knowledge. So wherever we talk about, we usually take knowledge and skills concurrently or hand in hand, so that both things are very important in order to clear any process. So the first and foremost thing is, so I've intentionally put some picture here. So it talks about both magnitude of force, magnitude of force and direction. Why and force and direction is very important in any examination. So why it is very important?
So if the force is directionless, it's no use.
Okay. So you used to attend EPIC class, right? Okay. So the thing is, so why force and direction is so important in clearing any process? So how many of you, like probably you have seen a lot of people who are studying very hard from the last 2 to 3 years, and they have very knowledgeable person, probably they sit beside you in library, or probably they are seniors. Although they have exceptional knowledge, why they are not able to clear the prelims properly or consecutively? There are certain market strategists who will be giving a lot of guidance in the market. So they will say, although they are not able to clear single prelims, they will keep on talking about how to clear the prelims, what to study, what not to study, and how to study. What exactly lacking in them?
The right direction.
No, they lack force. There are serious candidates, they will be putting lot of efforts, but they lack direction. So you people are putting lot of force, right? Like you have been serious from the last 2 to 3 years, whatever it may be, and you are putting lot of force, right? How many of you know how to crack the prelims in the right direction? I'm just asking. It's not an interrogation session, it's an interaction session. So how many of you know it very clearly that this is the way I have to traverse in order to clear the prelims? I know the sources, I have been studying properly, but I have to clear the prelims. This is the logical path I have to follow. How many of you are aware of it? So the overall, this process, that means this session is entirely meant to understand the direction properly. Anyhow, you have a lot of force. So the next and foremost thing is how to find the direction. So the first and foremost thing, while we come to know how to, while acquiring the knowledge, is it possible to remember each and every line of all the sources? Is it possible? First of all, is it necessary to remember all the facts in the above sources? So how do you come to know that it's not possible to remember all the content, or it's not possible to remember all the sources that we had read so far? So then how we have to acquire the knowledge then? You came to know that like it's not possible to handle the knowledge properly, and if we keep on adding the knowledge into a basket, probably we will become directionless and it becomes unsustainable. Then how to draw the line? So who will guide us to understand the process? So what is the first step in traversing the right direction? The first and foremost step in traversing the direction is to set the demand. So for example, we are delivering the class to you people, and we have divided into 3 different sessions. Sudeep sir has taken one session, and I have been taking session from couple of minutes, and Aditya sir will take the session after some time. So we have understood the demand of you people, and we are delivering it accordingly. How many of you understood the demand of UPSC prelims? Like what exactly I have to deliver in order to clear the prelims. So if you understand the demand, you can easily able to set the right direction. Once you set the right direction, you know what to study, what not to study, and how to study. At that point of time, you need not to read all the sources or all the content present in single source. Is it clear? So who will let you know to set the demand then? We got to know the first criteria is to set the demand, so that our path will be very easy. So who will let you know to set the demand? PYQs? Certainly not. Why? Because how to set the demand? Certainly not for this question. So how to set the demand? PYQs has left lot of evidence. Just we have to trace them properly, so that we can set the demand of the process properly. So before getting into it, I usually love to understand, like to understand why people won't clear prelims, although they have done a lot of hard work. Your own self experience, or you got to know from someone else, why they are not able to clear the prelims? What are all the reasons behind it? Simple reason, whatever it may be, simple, naive, complex, whatever it may be. Why they are not able to clear the prelims? How many of you have cleared the prelims here? So you have given the attempts, right? So like few people have not given the attempt, it's okay, but most of the people have given the attempts. What went wrong? Have you analyzed yourself? So what went wrong? Yeah, you need to be interactive. Like.
So initially it was lack of knowledge, but then later on became the lack of strategy and the concept clarity sometimes.
Okay. Next. Time management. Next. So how many of you have set the demand of UPSC prelims before getting into the designated sources I have mentioned? Until and unless I don't understand your demand, how can I deliver? I will be keep on talking whatever the things that I know, right? Rather than what exactly you require. So how many of you taken for example, if you want to come to Bangalore, obviously you will search on Google, and you will understand where exactly inside IAS headquarters is located. For example, if you want to buy a shoe or a mobile or a earphone of 100 rupees or 200 rupees, you will go through the review and understand whether it works for me or not. So how many of you have gone through the previous papers in order to set the demand? Okay, so you to a certain extent you had set the demand, right? So what is the demand that you had come across?
So did a little bit of research on the questions and the options that are being given in PYQs. The questions which have been asked lately are somehow related to the PYQs only.
Okay,
so not every question, but around 60 to 70% questions are
from previous year.
PYQs, yes.
Okay, so have you done the research, or are you completed with the research?
No, sir.
Okay.
So I tried to check out the themes, what kind of themes are there in the PYQ, so that I can analyze, for instance, Parliament, what all questions are coming on Parliament in previous years, so that I can build an analogy.
Okay, it's a very good thing, very good, very good. So the first and foremost thing is before getting into studying anything, for example, probably you are done with one round of revision, okay, it's okay. Before getting into second round, like one round of first reading, before getting into first round of revision and second round of revision, you need to understand what to study, what not to study and how to study for prelims. Until and unless you don't understand what to study, what not to study and how to study for the prelims, you will blindly follow all the sources that come across in the market. Otherwise, you will treat each and every page in every single source that you will be reading important. But nobody will going to say which page to study, which page to not to study. You should be there so you should be rely on someone who is very reliable in nature to let you know what to study and what not to study and how to study. The most reliable source is not the UPSC but UPSC questions. So if you go through the previous year questions from 2022 to 2011, you will come to know what exactly they are asking, how they are moving from one area to another area, which are all the areas I have to focus, which are all the areas I can intelligently neglect, so that you will get a direction to understand the concepts and understand the subjects properly, so that your knowledge acquisition will be in the right direction. Until and unless you don't acquire the knowledge in the right direction, your management will become very, very difficult. I believe that most of the people have faced lot of difficulties in revision, right? You are not able to do 2 iterations or 3 iterations of revision. Why? Because you have not acquired the right knowledge. The first and foremost thing in clearing any process is to set the demand. How we set the demand, I will let you know. And the second aspect of the process is you have to acquire the right knowledge. Whatever the knowledge that you will be getting or you will be acquiring, that should be useful in the examination hall. You may do a lot of chai pe charcha and whatever it may be, that might be fruitful in the discussion or that might be fruitful in prelims or like mains or interview, that doesn't matter. So whatever the knowledge that you acquire, it should be very specific to the prelims and you must be having that prelims angle while acquiring the knowledge. So how exactly we have to set the demand? As I have already elaborated, go through the previous year questions. Once you go through the previous year question, you will come to know what to study, what not to study and how to study. WWH, what to study, what not to study and how to study. And after that, after getting this framework, you try to approach your sources. Once you try to approach your sources, you will be acquiring the knowledge on prelim specific. Otherwise, you will keep on acquiring the knowledge which is not that relevant for the prelims. The first and foremost thing is how to analyze the previous year questions. So you have solved previous year questions. How many of you have analyzed the previous year questions? First of all, what is the difference between analysis of PYQs and solving of PYQs?
So analysis is basically you go through, you analyze different sections of.
Like what do you mean by analyze? You cut the certain things into pieces and assess it. So you will be understanding the process, understanding the questions and you will draw some analogy out of it. That is called as analysis. Probably we would have solved last 25 years papers, it doesn't matter. Because until and unless you don't understand the process, understand the demand, you will just solve and you will forget. So I will let you know how to analyze the paper, you need not to worry about this. The first and foremost thing is analysis of previous year questions. First of all, how to analyze the previous year questions, I will talk about it after some time. Before understanding how to analyze the previous year paper, I will just try to let you know what are all the areas from where UPSC has been asking questions. Once you analyze the previous year questions, you will come to know that from certain areas UPSC has been asking questions again and again. For example, if you take 2022 paper, most of the around 45 to 53 questions are from previous year questions itself. They are largely inspired from previous year questions itself. I will let you know, I can discuss all the 45 to 53 questions, but due to time paucity, I will take certain questions out of 2022 and I will trace it back to the previous year papers. It's almost like tracing the footprints. The first one is like, here this question talks about article number 32. So article number 32 is a prime component of fundamental rights. It's a bedrock of fundamental rights as elaborated by Dr. Ambedkar ji. So why this question? There might be a number of analysis in the market, वो न्यूज़ में था, वो था, इसका मतलब कुछ मतलब Indian Express में था, Hindu में था. I am not denying that point. But what I am trying to say is, for example, if I give you the opportunity to set the paper, what is the first thing that you do? See, for example, I have given the opportunity to set the paper. The first and foremost thing that you do is you should maintain certain standards, so that आपका इज्जत बचाना है. So the next time also they should call you to set the paper. So how exactly to, like what is the best way to maintain that framework or standards? Why don't we get, like there is a largest myth in the market that UPSC kuch bhi पूछ सकता है. So that is where, that is largely capsulated by the market, right? So UPSC kuch bhi पूछ सकता है, मतलब why they are not asking questions on random things? For example, Katrina Kaif or Ayushman Kurmat, I don't know. So uska second anniversary, why don't they ask such kind of question? For example, if they ask about parliament also, why don't they ask on the questions on specific member of parliament and who like whether he represent which constituency or what? Why don't they give 3 MPs name and their constituency's name in the match the following? So why don't they give how many number of days the winter session has been conducted? So there is a framework, there is a standards to set the paper. So once they go through the previous year papers, probably they might get inspired from those topics. Although they cannot able to ask the same question, they will try to maintain those standards and they will try to stick to the topics in most of the questions. I am not saying that they will ask 100 questions out of previous year questions, but most of the questions are highly inspired from previous year questions. More like knowingly and unknowingly will largely fail to recognize that fundamental fact. And there is also a invalid logic in the market. Sir, इस अभी तक तो यूपीएससी ऐसे पूछ रहा है, नेक्स्ट टाइम कुछ पूछा तो हम लोग क्या करेंगे? ऐसा नहीं करेंगे. If it is the same case, it is difficult for everyone. So how exactly the Lakshmikant author, like the Indian polity author Lakshmikant has designed his book? Is anybody instructed him to design that book? Why he has given elaborative provisions on parliament? Why he has given elaborative provisions on historical background to the constitution? Is anybody told Lakshmikant sir to give elaborate facts on parliament? He can write a separate book on parliament, right? So he has also analyzed the previous paper and he has written the book. So whatever the things that we are studying, that is a result of analysis of previous papers. But what exactly we are largely failing is, we try to apply this analysis on day-to-day basis. We are largely relying on rote learning. 3 बार पढ़ना है, 4 बार पढ़ना है, economic survey करना है, budget करना है. किसके लिए करना है, we don't know. So the first thing that you need to understand is why I am studying this source, why I am studying Lakshmikant, why I am studying modern India, something like that. So in 2022 we got one, like polity is a very easy subject. Most of the people will try to go through the polity at the very first. In 2022 we got one question on mandamus. Okay, so basically it's a fundamental rights question. So there are already, as I have already elaborated, there are a number of analyses why UPSC asked this question. But my analysis is, it has already been asked by a couple of times, that's why UPSC asking this question in 2022. The same question of different nature regarding the fundamental rights might be repeated in 2023 or 2024, we don't know. But first and foremost thing that we need to keep in mind is, while studying fundamental rights, हम लोगों को दिमाग में आना चाहिए fundamental rights के बारे में questions आ रहा है. Fundamental, when we are witnessing any news regarding the current affairs, that should come to in our mind. That is what the analysis is. So why this question? The why this question is because in 2022 we got 2 questions on fundamental rights. The first question talks about Article 14. The second question talks about Article 21. It talks about right to privacy. So in 2021 we got 2 questions. Why we got 2 questions in 2021 itself? In 2022 we got 2 questions on fundamental rights. The fourth question, the answer for the fourth question in 2022 is Article 14, right to equality. The same question was asked in 2021. The questions are not falling from somewhere else. UPSC is not asking questions everything under the sun. I will give n number of evidence. Since to the paucity of time I am not able to give a number of evidence. Anyways, it will be elaborately discussed in the Conquer Prelims class for each and every subject. So which article of the Constitution of the Indian safeguards one's right to marry the person of one choice? Marriage is about life, right? So obviously it should be right to life. ट्वेंटी में 2 questions पूछा था on right to equality and article number 21. Same question was asked in, matlab on the same article the question has been asked in 2021. In 2022 also the same question was asked on fundamental rights. They have moved out of 14 and 15 or 1921, but they have restricted themselves to fundamental rights. Likewise, they usually ask question on DPSP, historical background to the constitution. I'll let you know. Okay. So why they have asked question in 2020? Because they have asked too many questions on probably on year-to-year basis or alternative year basis with respect to fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, it's very important for human beings to survive. It is one of the bedrock of Indian constitution. Whatever it may be the analysis, I completely agree with that. I am not denying that. But why they focus on fundamental rights? Because of the reason that I have told. So in right to equality was asked in 2017, 2020, 2021, 2022 mein article 32. Okay. So the right to privacy which was asked in 2018, the same question was asked in 21. The right against untouchability, it was asked in 2020. So the provision on education which was asked in 2012, the same question was asked in 2018. So moving on to other subject. In 2022, we got one question on system of rice intensification. How many of you are aware of this SRI? Sometimes we can't able to understand from where exactly UPSC is asking this question, because this is an hybrid kind of topic. You can't segregate into agriculture also, because there is no source for agriculture in the market, the decent source. The second thing is you may put across biodiversity like environment or geography or economy or miscellaneous, we don't know. Sometimes here and there we talk about ZBNF, but we are not aware of why UPSC is focusing on permaculture, like right system of rice intensification. Why it has specifically picked that point? Because in 2021 we got one. So the theme name is, I will let you know what is theme. So the earlier theme was not polity, fundamental rights. This theme is new practices in agriculture. So in 2020 we got one question on SRI, system of rice intensification. Why that question? In 2020 we got question on permaculture farming. It is also a new practices of agriculture. Why that question was asked in 2020, like 2021? These are all the reasons. In 2020 we got one question on zero tillage. The same question was already been asked in 2011 prelims. In 2014 we got question on sustainable sugarcane initiative. The same question was asked in 2020 prelims. If you go through tnau.nic.in website, वहाँ पे new forms of agriculture के एक पेज है, उस पेज से आ रहा है questions. It doesn't, like the next topic in that page is hydrogel agriculture, where they will be using the hydrogel in order to conserve the water. They might ask in 23, 24, या analysis सुन के वो पूछ भी नहीं सकते, I don't know. But have you ever recognized that ऐसे questions आ रहा है? That is what I am saying. Although you read current affairs or static material, आपको पता नहीं चल रहा है कहाँ से पूछ रहा है questions, because you are more or less, not you are, but more or less the market is largely depending on rote learning. वो sources पढ़ना है, सब लोगों को पता है what are all the sources we have to refer. But the first and $1 million question is how to set the demand, and based on the demand what to study and what not to study. In this session, we will try to understand what to study and what not to study and how to study based on the previous year questions. Nothing without any evidence. Everything will be substantiated with logic and evidences. Clear? In 2022, we got one question on COVID ka vaccine. So COVID was largely in news. It's okay. Okay, we got one question on COVID. So it is something related to what? Genetic engineering or biotechnology. So why this question was asked? So here it is talking about what? Vaccine. In 2022 we got one question on vaccine. Why vaccine? Although there are n number of elements regarding COVID, why they have focused on vaccine? We know COVID is important. Everybody can say that COVID के बारे में कुछ पढ़ लेना. क्या पढ़ना है COVID के बारे में? That is the most important thing, right? You will be getting at least 5 to 10 news on COVID each and every day. So you have to focus on vaccine. Why you have to focus on vaccine? In 2021, we got one question on recombinant vector vaccines. Same question like, so the same question have been asked multiple times in the previous year. I'll let you know after some time. So why in 2021 we got question on genetic engineering? So you might say that COVID news में था, so वो नहीं है. So here they are talking about mitochondrial diseases. So here, like in 2000, from 2018 to 2021, 3-parent baby was largely in news. So how exactly you have to identify that news? That news has to be identified on your own, not by the market. वो current affairs में आता है, मैं पढ़ता हूँ. Current affairs में there are multiple issues regarding genetic engineering. What to identify while going through the current affairs? You should rely on the previous year questions. So here they are talking about mitochondrial diseases. So why this question? It talks about 3-parent baby. The same question was asked in 2020 prelims. In the context of recent advance in human reproductive technology, pro-nuclear transfer is used for prevention of mitochondrial diseases in offspring is the answer for this question. So what was there in the first statement of 66th question in 2021 prelims? Passing on mitochondrial disease from parent to child can be prevented by mitochondrial replacement therapy either before or after in vitro fertilization of egg. If you have known, like if you have gone through this question and understand what exactly it is, you would have easily answered this question. Is it right or wrong? As Sudeep sir has elaborated, you need decent 50 questions to clear this process. You need not to worry about, like probably you will be attending 80 to 85 questions, 15 questions you are going to leave. 15 to 20 questions will go wrong, no problem in that. What exactly we are doing is, we are not focusing on the first 550 easy questions. We are largely running blindly behind other 50 questions. We are not capturing the low hanging fruits. These are all the low hanging fruits. Okay? So, Bolagard 1 and Bolagard 2 technologies are mentioned in the context of biotechnology. Why this question? There were 2 questions asked in 2020. Why there were 2 questions in 2020? There were too many questions on genetic engineering biotechnology in the recent past. For example, CRISP CAS9 2018. It was asked in the match the following format in 2018. That statement third in the match the following question. The same question was drafted as ABCD format in 2019. Here they have talked about GE plant, BT brinjal. The same concept has been picked up. Now also genetical GM mustard is largely in use, right? GEAC has given the approval for commercial cultivation, field trials of GM mustard. So the GM mustard was already been asked in 2018. See, in 2011 we got question on human genome project. The same based on the similar lines the question was drafted in 2020 prelims. And genetic engineering, recombinant DNA technology, recombinant vector vaccines. And in 2000, somatic cell transfer question was asked in 2017. The same question was asked in 2020. So if you read by genetic engineering, if you go through the concepts of genetic engineering or biotechnology from the last 10 years, you can easily answer questions of genetic engineering biotechnology for the next 5 years. How many of you have done that? So this is how we need to analyze the previous year papers. कहाँ से questions आ रहा है, कैसे questions आ रहा है. How exactly based on this framework, once you go through the previous year papers again and again, आपको पता चल जाता है. You will get a framework. Based on that framework or prism, you have to go through the sources and extract the knowledge. That is the right way of acquiring the knowledge. Until and unless you don't acquire the right knowledge, you will blindly run behind the content, and at the end of the day you will not able to manage the knowledge. Since you are not able to manage the knowledge, you will end up in bad execution. So acquiring the right knowledge is the first remedy for all of your problems. That is the first stepping stone to clear the UPSC prelims process or whatever it may be the process. So I have already told couple of times what do you mean by themes or something like that. So what do you mean by themes? The recurring topics are called as themes. So while you are analyzing a previous year papers, you have to understand the themes. Okay, that is very, very important. So in Conquer Prelims, we will try to cover almost all the themes in the class. For example, you have to spend around 25 to 1 hour to understand the new types of agriculture itself, to analyze, forget about extracting the content. For example, coal, each and every year it is in news. This year also we got 2 questions on coal. One is greenwashing and the second one is Coal Controller of India. If you observe from 2011 to 2022, we are getting questions on coal in each and every year. In 2011, we got question on characteristics of Indian coal. The same question was asked in 2020. In 2019, we got question on nationalization of coal. In 2015, we got question on coking coal. So in order to understand that, you will be getting you have to invest lot of time. And as I already told, as we already told couple of times, you have to finish off your syllabus by February. So we will be doing that exercise on behalf of you, and we'll try to make sure that you will be getting enough content for coal. There is any material in the market where you will be getting required or relevant information regarding coal. You will be getting bits and pieces, coal linkages, policy, something like that. So there you have to impinge. उसके बाद आपको पता चलता है यूपीएससी का क्वेश्चंस कहाँ से आ रहा है. यू विल बी स्टडीइंग PT360 व्हाटएवर इट मे बी द सोर्सेस. वहाँ से क्वेश्चंस नहीं आ रहे. क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? Because you don't know the rules of the game. The first and foremost thing is to understand the rules of the game. So the first and foremost thing, moving on to the themes, there are two types of themes. One is static themes and dynamic themes. See, themes doesn't have any subject. Themes cannot crisscross any subjects. For example, if I take coal is a theme. It can traverse geography, economy, science and technology, it doesn't matter for me. Because वहाँ पे तो 7 subject बैठ के उन लोग नहीं बैठा है. क्वेश्चन पूछ लेता हूँ करके. They don't have 7 books, Lakshmikant, Modern India, they don't have such kind of arrangement. They usually ask questions on topics, but they will make sure that every subject will be given due weightage. For example, if you observe from the last 3 years, there will be 20 questions from history, modern history, medieval history, ancient history, art and culture. Likewise, they will try to maintain the proportion. Okay? So the themes are recurring topics. Genetic engineering is a theme, coal is a theme, and parliament is a theme, DPSP is a theme, historical background to the constitution is a theme. These are all the theme. It doesn't have any subject sometimes. It may have subject sometimes. For example, parliament comes under what? Indian polity. Coal comes under, you may categorize as geography, whatever it may be, that is up to you. Themes are quite static in nature and dynamic in nature. For example, static themes, Buddhism, tribal revolt, Gandhian freedom struggle, revenue and educational policies of British, historical background to the constitution, DPSP, governor, president, GDP, GNP, inflation. These are all the static themes. Okay, you need not to worry. I will be sharing all the themes in the class. You need not to worry about it. So we have categorized all the themes in different subjects. Okay, and what are all the dynamic themes like coal, genetic engineering, monetary policy and banking. The BBB question which was asked in 2022 prelims is nothing but RBI ka initiative. The same RBI initiative was asked in 2016 which was Mission Indra Dhanush. So national park and species. This year also we got one question on golden marshir. In 2018 we got question on blue marshir. So likewise you need to interlink the questions. Budget and fiscal policy, pollution. Pollution is also a theme. We got 3 questions on pollution in 2022 prelims, 2 questions in 2020 prelims, 2 questions in 2021 prelims. In 2016 we got question on AQI, air quality index. The similar nature of question was asked in 2022 prelims. Okay, so the themes are both static and dynamic in nature. Static things you will be covering from the static sources. Dynamic things it will be covered in the Conquer in detail. You need not to worry about it. The students who are out of the Conquer program, I usually suggest you to go through these themes properly and try to put your own efforts, at least 20 to 30 minutes efforts each and every day, which is highly rewarding in nature. So moving on to the same topic. Now, how exactly you will go through the same sources that I have specified so far? How do you go through it? Whether your orientation got changed or what? Do you study the polity in the same manner that you used to study or what? You will go through the previous year questions, you will set the demand, you will go through, and after that you will be reading the stipulated sources. So far we came to know that what to study and what not to study. The next and foremost thing is how to study. Before that, I sincerely suggest or recommend you people to go through the previous year questions properly and identify the relevant themes and compare and contrast with 2022 prelims paper. At least 45 questions have been are directly repeated from previous year themes itself. Okay, you will understand after this exercise. You will understand that this is one of the easiest exam to crack, because here they don't ask any factual questions like SSC or any clerical job. The questions are very simple in nature, you have to apply your brain. And along with that, how to apply your brain, how to understand the questions properly, that will be taken care by Aditya sir. So then how to study the themes? We got to know that what to study and what not to study. The parliament is the first important chapter, I have to give the preference because वहाँ पे questions आ रहा है. Non-constitutional body से इतना questions नहीं आ रहा है, I have to do the surface level study. But मान लेना like how to exactly you have to study. For example, in 2022 we got 4 questions on international organization places in news. So how to go through about those aspects? Is it possible to remember each and every regional organization, international organization? Certainly not. I may say that coal is very important, try to go through about the coal. So there are, especially for core, there are 3 to 4 secretaries. Even they are not able to handle the whole coal ministry. So how you are able to handle the coal in the next 6 months or 4 months? You should draw the line in order to acquire the knowledge, right? You should know where exactly my boundary is located. Otherwise, you will keep on acquiring the knowledge, then the knowledge will be of no use. So you should know where to draw the line. For that aspect, we need to understand how to study those themes, where exactly we have to draw the line. So I have taken one category as an example. For example, if you take international organizations, there are 3 to 4 different subcategories from where UPSC asks questions. Places in news, reports in news, developmental organizations in news, like in news or not in news, like IMF, इस बार भी एक क्वेश्चन आया था, G20, whether it is in news or not, G20 के बारे में 2020 में भी एक क्वेश्चन आया था, 22 में भी एक क्वेश्चन आया था, and developmental institution like AIIB, WB, IMF, something like that, and UN based core organization like International Court of Justice, UNSC, United Nations Security Council. Like from these 4 categories we are getting questions. Out of these 4 categories, one category is regional organizations or developmental institutions, from where you are getting questions each and every year. This year also we got one question on India is a member of which of the following organization? AIIB, MTCR, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. If you have gone through that previous this year ka paper, you will come to know. But is it not possible to read each and everything about SCO? Is it definitely not possible to read each and every aspects of AIIB, although questions have been asked? At that point of time, we try to end up in research rather than searching about the topics. For that matter, I have come up with a unique idea of core dimensions, where you will come to know where exactly to stop while acquiring the knowledge. After analyzing the previous year questions on regional organization, I came to know that there are 4 important dimensions that are very important, that are very crucial to understand that particular topic. Based on those 4 dimensions, they will set the paper. For example, consider the following statements regarding AIIB, statement 1, 2, 3 or statement 2, both 1 and 2 format or ABCD format. If you understand that 4 to 5 dimensions properly, you can easily able to answer most of the questions regarding the regional organization. At that point of time, you can easily able to draw the boundary. See, after analyzing the paper, I came to know that members are very important, objectives are very important, functions are very important, and recent summits and themes of the recent summits are very important. So while I come across any regional organization, current affairs or any material I am studying regarding the specific international organization, I will try to restrict to these dimensions. So why I try to restrict to this dimension? Because I have evidences from the previous year questions. This question was asked in 2020 prelims. I have intentionally not put couple of questions from 2020. 2022 we got around 4 to 8 questions on international organizations, and they are almost all easy in nature. Expect 1 or 2 questions. This particular question talks about what? G20. Okay. What exactly it is talking about? With reference to the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which was asked in 2019 prelims, they consider the following statements. Members. While understanding the paper, you have to identify. AII के बारे में पूछा है, पढ़ लेता हूँ. It doesn't work. क्या पूछा है, you have to understand. Then only you can. Bullseye shot होता है ना, इसे strike करना होता है. Otherwise, you'll keep on acquiring knowledge. It will end up nowhere else. No problem. Anyways, institution will make revenue. Okay. The next thing is, which of the above among the free trade partners of ASEAN? It was asked in 2018 prelims. It talks about what? Members. So consider the following in respect of Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. Here it talks about what? The second statement talks about objective or function, whatever it may be. Recent summit or first summit. First summit के बारे में अभी तो क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ रहा है. Need not to worry. That is a quite change in the trends. You need to understand the trends also. It was asked in 2016 prelim. With reference to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, consider the following statements. It talks about what? Second statement. This was asked in 2016 prelims. It talks about GCC. It talks what exactly they are asking. That's it. So while going through the regional organization, you have to keep these 4 dimensions in your mind, so that you आपको मन में पता होना चाहिए यहाँ पे I have to restrict. Understanding reports of 100 organizations. O University, Cambodia, Kenya, South Africa, it doesn't work. Okay. You have come to know how to draw the line and apply the same theory for other themes. I have given only one theme. Due to time paucity, I can't able to give this dimension for every themes, but anyways it will be discussed in the class. Make sure that you have this ideology or that strategy or an idea in your mind while acquiring the knowledge. So far we came to know that what to study, what not to study, and how to study. What to study and what not to study, we came to know what are all the themes. And how to study, we took up a concept which is also a theme, so understood how to acquire the knowledge. The next and foremost important component is, sir आपने बता दिया अभी तक क्या क्या questions आ रहा है, कैसे पढ़ना है, आगे कैसे आ सकता है questions. That is the logical question you have, because probably they might exhaust all the questions from regional organizations. They might exhaust all the, for example, if you observe from till 2018 and 19, till 19 we used to get 1 or 2 questions on Mediterranean Sea, right? Which of the following countries surrounds Mediterranean Sea? It was started from 2014. The first question on mapping, the particular mapping was asked in 2014. The question was on Turkey is sandwiched between Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea. That was the first question which was asked on mapping by UPSC in 2014. The same trend was started like the same thing has been continued till 2019, and it took a little pause for the next 2 years. The same theme again started to repeat from 2022. Such kind of observation you have to do while analyzing the papers. So Mediterranean, we came to know that the Mediterranean Sea is इसके बारे में UPSC questions आ रहा है. But they have exhausted the questions on Mediterranean Sea. How many times they can ask the same question? Which of the countries? Which of the countries? Obviously they will get bored and it will be repetitive in nature. So at that point of time they will probably move on to the other topics which are of similar nature but of different topics. So that is called as a network building. I will try to build a bunch of subtopics around a topic or a theme which has been asked by UPSC, so that whatever the questions they might ask in future, that might be asked from the same area or same mesh. For example, if they ask questions on coal, characteristics of coal, next they might move on to the where exactly the coal reserves are present in India. Next they might move on types of coal reserves in India. Then they can move on to the coking coal. What is the why India is importing coking coal? Then the other aspects of the coal controller organization, Coal India Limited, something like that. So likewise on any topic, for example, if I take solar energy, the first question was on solar energy was asked in 2014 prelims. It was on solar photovoltaic cell and solar thermal energy conversion. And after that they slowly moved to different aspects of solar energy. For example, in 2017 we got question on the solar dispute between India and US. In 2016 we got question on International Solar Alliance. In 2022 we got question on solar power plants present in different parts of India. 3 statement wala question. So the questions are from solar energy itself, but they are moving from one dimension to another dimensions. So likewise, while going through the concepts, we need to understand क्या पूछ सकता है, what are all the relevant things that UPSC might ask in future years, so that we can logically predict the topics, and if we are aware of those topics very well in the exam, before the exam, we are more confident to handle any types of questions. Otherwise, आपको पता ही नहीं चल, अरे यार कहाँ से पूछा है, that is the major question haunts you each and every time. For example, here how to build the network there. What is the basis to build the network? See, this is the world mapping. I got to know what are all the questions. I have drafted all the questions which have been asked by UPSC from the last 12 years from 2020 to 2011. Why? Because the pattern got changed from 2011. Before 2011, we used to get very factual question like who won Wimbledon 2009, Serena, Martina, something like that. Such questions are not asked, like they are not asking such kind of questions from the 2011 because the pattern got changed from 2011. So that's why you have to analyze from 2020 to 2011. Once you analyze the papers, you will come to know what are all the questions UPSC has been asked on word mapping. You can depict in this way or online format, that is up to you. So from this analysis, I came to know that Mediterranean region is in focus. So I will try to understand what are all the countries which surrounds the Mediterranean Sea, 2 to 3 countries which are very close to Mediterranean Sea that doesn't set the border. I will try to understand the small seas present inside the Mediterranean Sea and the river which drains into the Mediterranean Sea. So first and foremost thing is इसके बारे में UPSC ने question पूछा है, I will try to understand that, and after that I will try to build the network. Okay, I will move on to Black Sea and Caspian Sea. Since Black Sea is largely in news due to Russia and Ukraine conflict, I will try to go through small places like Azov steel plant, Mariupol, something like Sea of Azov, something like that. So I will try to understand some of the important rivers which drains into the Black Sea, and I move on to Caspian Sea, Aral Sea, certain important straits which are present in between Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea, and I will move on to the Red Sea because recently UPSC ka recent is like 2 to 3 years. So the Ever Given was stuck in Suez Canal in the recent past. So I will try to understand the Red Sea properly and Gulf of Aden and some of the important islands where China has lot of interest in Indian Ocean, and more or less these islands are largely in news from the last 4 to 5 years. In 2022 we got the same question on Senkaku Islands. I had put this image around 3 years back itself. See why I am saying this fact is questions बाहर से नहीं आ रहे, वहाँ से आ रहा है. If you are able to understand the papers properly and do this network building exercise, more or less all the questions will be entangled to the mesh or the web that you have created. So once you understand this topic, you are done with word mapping. So that is more like this kind of exercise has to be done on your own, so that you can able to understand the process and acquire the knowledge properly. Likewise, there are various themes that I have already elaborated like coal, solar energy, renewable energy, biomass, and like bioenergy, something like that. So you try to build the network on relevant themes, so that you are well equipped to answer most of the questions from UPSC. There are certain questions which cannot be answered by you. For example, Buddhism is a theme, but you can't answer questions on Buddhism because there is no right source to understand it. If you want to understand Buddhism, probably you will become Buddhist monks in near future, because we are not able to answer such kind of questions. Like Jainism ka question, we know they ask questions on Jainism. So although we know certain themes, we can't able to handle it properly. We have to get minimum knowledge on it, and we should move on to the low hanging fruits that I have already elaborated. Clear? So how to analyze the previous year papers? What is the best way to analyze? Subject wise, okay. Theme wise, like you should know the themes, right? Before analyzing on theme basis, you should know the themes, right? So you can analyze in various formats. It takes its own time. For example, it takes nearly like 15 to 20 days, sometimes 1 month to analyze the previous year papers. You try to download the previous year questions from the UPSC website. That is one format. And on top of it, you try to write down what exactly, like what on which theme the question has been asked, and the 1 or 2 dimensions regarding it. And after that, you copy down all the relevant questions on one topic under one file or one sheet. So you should categorize all the parliament related questions under parliament subheadings. Okay. Otherwise, there are already in market, there are certain sources which are available. They have already segregated the questions on subject wise. But please make sure that you make your own analysis out of those questions, because I have seen a lot of analysis of the different institution ka books, but they have not categorized it properly. Nobody has identified new practices of agriculture as a theme, coal as a theme, solar energy as a theme. Okay. So likewise, you have to identify certain themes on your own. So once you are done with the analysis, you please try to show your analysis to us. In Conquer Prelims, we will be monitoring on day-to-day basis. You need not to worry. Other people, you can easily share your analysis with us, with me or Aditya sir. You can text us on Telegram, or you can draft a mail to support@insightsias.com. Clear? So you got to know the relevance of analysis of the previous year papers, right? That is the first thing that you have to carry out while acquiring any knowledge. At that point of time, the knowledge will be more logical in nature, and it is largely towards cracking the prelims rather than just gaining the knowledge. So far I wonder, like we talked about how to acquire the knowledge. So we got to know certain important skills that we have to inculcate to acquire the knowledge. In the next session, like in future, in a couple of minutes, Aditya sir will be talking about how to manage the knowledge, how to execute the knowledge, and how to acquire the skills to how exactly to acquire the skills to to answer the question. There are various questions in the exam. There are various questions in exam where you may not able to answer the question. Sometimes you don't have any knowledge on certain question to answer the certain particular questions from various subjects. At that point of time, you have to inculcate certain tricks and techniques in order to understand the question and tackle the question in a very logical manner. So far we have understood certain important aspects regarding the knowledge. The Aditya sir will be largely talking about CSAT aspect and skill aspect. Okay, is that fine? Was it useful? Yes, okay. It's okay.
Am I audible? We start करने वाला. 5 minutes, let them come. I'm just checking the mic actually.
Especially in the month of April and March, our classes is not at all accessible. Okay.
I will not discuss the question which is before 2019. Okay, 2020, 21, 22. I will discuss few of the question. Okay, so that because cutoffs are reducing now, and how you can apply your common sense, those things we will discuss of 2020, 21, 22, and 19 ke pehle ka I will show some of the question how they could have thought about. Okay. But other things, how to utilize the test series, those things, I will keep it as short as possible. Okay, because again those things are, no, they are individualistic. Okay, so many times you can have your own plan and your strengths may be different. You may be, optional subject is something different. So I don't want to put you across, where one size fit all formula. Okay, you can plan according to your strength and weakness. I just tell you how you should go about it. Then based on your strength and weakness, you can always decide. Okay. Okay. So shall we begin? First is basics. Okay. NCRTs are the basics. Okay. That is anyway we had today sir Sudeep sir has talked about basically building blocks or getting your basics done. So getting your basics done can be done in two ways, right? One is basically for some subject there are standard subjects, standard books. For Lakshmikant basically, for polity we say Lakshmikant. There is only one book that you have to refer, right? But for let's say for ancient India, medieval India, there are these subjects are more or less there is basically, if you look at the exam from the business point of view, where you will invest, where there is a more returns, right? In that way, when you get 4 to 5 questions from a subject basically, you don't feel like investing in ancient and medieval to an extent where like Lakshmikant book, there are many books for ancient India also, like Romila Tapar is there, Upinder Singh is there, where optional people will study about it. If you study that, most of the ancient India question you can do also. It is not that they are not from somewhere else. It will be from the standard books that the college professor or any university professor are referring those books. They won't be referring NCRTs, but they will be referring the standard books that for their study material. For example, Romila Tapar, Upinder Singh, these books basically for ancient India for that matter, right? So, but we cannot invest that much of time because we are having only 4 to 5 questions. Let's say assume tomorrow from polity, let's say if they are asking only 4 to 5 questions, then Lakshmikant seems to be a very big to us because there is no return on investment of your time, right? So since they are giving 15 questions, we are okay. Tomorrow if they start saying that we will ask 15 questions from ancient India or from next test, for next year, let's say if you are getting 15 questions from ancient India, 15 questions medieval India, then we may start jumping not only just sticking to NCRTs, we may start moving to these books which are bulky, but however they are giving in return these things. So this is one thing. Okay, however, for these subjects, study well about basics, about from NCRTs. But however, from polity, economy, these subjects where you are studying separately from a different book, kindly again don't study line to line from NCRTs. Okay, those topics which are not covered under these chapters, for example, the philosophical part of constitution has not been covered in Lakshmikant. Lakshmikant has been told what is there in the constitution, but he has not about what is justice, what is equality, what is equity. Now let's say economically weaker section has been given the reservation, right? So now in this current context, if I talk about, reservation is a concept of equality, equity, this kind of conceptual application kind of question can come. Now they are, little bit moving towards, if you look at, NCRT book where they have showed a diagram where 3 people want to watch a match and between the match and the 3 people there is a wall. right? So one is taller, he can watch directly, but other two are shorter. So they cannot watch the match directly. If there is only if you have the policy of equality, you cannot watch the match properly. Other two cannot watch the match. So what they do is they have a ladder for someone who is not taller. So which is basically a kind of reservation. Whoever not been placed equal, they have been given the kind of reservation. That is how it has been told in the NCERT. So I'm just telling that these are the things which you get in the NCERT but not in the Lakshmikant, right? The kind of what is liberty occurred, that kind of question. Which of the following statement appropriate, or that kind of state question. Which of the following appropriately describe the term state, that has been appeared in 2020, right? So these kind of question will come only in NCERT. So what you are supposed to do is, in the first place, whatever that standard subject that you are referring. For example, environment, you are having a standard book, you are studying, maybe 3-4 sources will be there, one of them you are maybe studying, maybe PMFIS, or maybe someone else, what is that? Shankar IAS, or something else it will be there in Delhi, other some Vajram faculty teaching. So that kind another book that I have forgot. So people will be studying from various sources, but stick to one source. That is the first point. So once you are sticking to one place, most of them are covered. Apart from that, whatever that is left out, that you study from NCERT for those subjects where you have a standard material. Okay, this is point number one. But where other things, where there is only one source you are referring, then kindly stick to NCERT in detail. Okay, fine. Okay, now I just show you how questions has been appeared from NCERT, but I will not discuss the question because I want to keep my more time on applying the common sense kind of question. How you are supposed to think in most of the difficult question also seems to be easy. How you look at it basically. So, and also first I will talk about NCERTs and test series. So I will not go with the slides as it is, but I will finish NCERTs and then tests. How you are supposed to use the test and how you are supposed to analyze the test. Then we will go back to solve some 20 questions or 15-20 questions where you can understand it better, because I don't want to go up and down about some questions again going back to other topic where theory based, again I come back to solving the question. So, but in theory, in PPTs I have made it in that way, but what I am thinking now is basically I'll change that. I'll talk about NCERT, what are the questions that will appear, I'll just show you in last 2-3 years. Because if I have made it like from 2011 to 22, then there are lot of questions. That itself will become a session. So I just want to show you even in last 3 years how the questions are coming. Okay. Okay. This is the 2022 question, right? In the northern hemisphere, longest day of the year normally occurs in the. So it is basic NCERT. Here they have given 21st June. If you read the topic, so 21st June is basically second half of the June. The question was, and if you look at the second half of the month of the June, that is after 15th, it is second half, right? We'll go to the next question. Okay. Here, major, rock edicts of Ashoka, and again location. So again, if you look at the King's farmer themes, basically here again, where you have to draw a line is you should not go beyond for minor edicts, because n number of minor edicts you cannot mug up. At least major edicts you should know. Getting my point? Major edicts you should know. Major capital, elephant capital was Dauli, lion capital was Sarana. These things you should know, and there is no excuse for not knowing these cues. But it is directly, if you look at here, Kalsi is there. If you look at question, Kalsi is there. Jauguda is there. Again, if you look at here, Jauguda is there. Even if you have the basic major edicts, because as I told you, theme is what basically at the end of the day, themes are nothing but there are two parts. One is static, another is dynamic. Dynamic is nothing but related to current affairs. Current affairs, how do you derive a theme? It is simple. Okay. What world is striving at present are your themes. What UPSC want to know is what is happening at present day. For example, when there was a 2G to 3G transformation was happening, everyone is coming and saying that now 3G is there, now 4G is coming. So at that point of time 2G and 3G were themes. But now they are not the theme now because 5G has come up. So what is at that point of time, what world is striving for or India is striving for basically, that will be your theme. If you look at it closely basically, we derive it from the question paper. Otherwise also when you are studying something, let's say there was a question on Olympics, right? When there was a question on Olympics, many people were saying that now they started asking on the sports. है ना? But if you look at it closely, how government was following Olympics? Prime Minister himself was calling to them. It was happening for the first time. He was talking to the losing team also, telling to console them. Then he called for them tea party, and for everyone who is either medal winners or non-medal winners, everyone has to. So it became the priority of the governments. When it became a priority of the government is focusing on it, it automatically becomes the priority of UPSC also. So there is nothing called sports. Tomorrow they can ask about the sports. And if you look at other question also, that was on the cricket, that was the first international test series. So whatever it is, for something it is happening, and that question is okay from my side if you don't know. Okay, but at least Olympics question, you do not have the excuse, because the government itself is very, very serious about it. When Prime Minister, it is not the sports minister who was talking, it was the Prime Minister who was talking through video call. So I don't see that there is an excuse saying that we should not do because it is a sports. So government team, for example, what this present government is doing, why the agriculture is pushing on new technology, what this government is saying is doubling the farmer income. What this government is saying is basically we should move toward digital transaction. So if you look at the question UPI, question on UPI, BEAM, all these, because this government is focusing upon it. At the end of the day, UPSC also align itself. If you look at the question paper while analyzing from 2011 to 2021, if you look at the question of 2011 to 2014, most of the question on Narega, Sarva Shikshan Abhiyan, the government schemes which are largely social sector schemes, because the UPA government was more aligned for that RTI kind of question. But when you look at this government, and whenever even the agriculture question were there at that point in time, but they were on traditional, which of the following climatic condition is needed, this soil is needed for this crop. That is more of a traditional agriculture questions were coming. But when this government came, they told that no, we have to double the farmer's income. Now the land is fixed, so the productivity has to increase. How you will increase the productivity? Bring more water efficient, more biotechnology in agriculture. So the government started focusing on new technologies in agriculture. Fertigation has started coming up. So when it becomes the priority of the government, you should understand that even if you look at the question on economy, now the most of the question that will on economy are also coming on foreign investment, FII, FDI. Why now the G20, for example, this year government has India has taken the presidentship. Prime Minister has called all the party members, not just from the ruling government, but other party members to discuss about it. That shows that government is very serious about G20 presidentship. So it can be one of the theme. How it can be on, let's say if member is a theme, core dimension, how president is elected. That can be a different kind of question. Or the India has become the president for the first time. That kind of actual statement can come. Or X country was the president of G20 for the first time. Okay, that can come. Or origin of the G20 it happened this. Or some data like 85% of the trade is belonging to G20 country. This kind of things can come, right? Because the government itself is showing lot of focus on G20, right? So these basically, even if you look at solar energy, we are started international solar alliance. When government itself is very serious about the renewable energy, emerging energy resources, then automatically it becomes your theme. It is as simple as that. You are at the end of the day, what government is focusing upon, you should observe in the current affairs. So let's say if there are some news which are which is against the government, but it is coming for lot of things, then you don't need to go, you have to have the basic understanding of it, but don't need to dwell too much into it. That will not be asked. Now what government is basically pushing, for example, last year cryptocurrency was being discussed with RBI many a times. They were telling to ban the cryptocurrency, to the finance minister. Today they have come up with their own cryptocurrency, right? The central controlled cryptocurrency. So last time they had asked about NFT. Before that also blockchain technology was tracked, because this government is more focused towards the emerging technology. So if you look at the question in last few years, there is a question on artificial intelligence. There is a question on cryptocurrencies. So even within the cryptocurrency, first 2 times they have asked about the general about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Then last year they had asked about NFTs. After NFTs, also there was a question on Web 3.0. Now the talk is going about metaverse and also decentralized finance. So next time you can expect DeFi, question on DeFi, that is decentralized finance, or on metaverse. So basically how the things are changing and how government is focusing upon, that should also be your priority areas. Okay, this is about just to add to those themes how you should also have the idea, okay, about it. Done. Now coming back to NCERTs again, as I told you, basic subjects, cover it from NCERTs. Now where you are depending only about NCERTs, please study them very well, okay. Where you are depending upon other sources also, for modern India you may be depending upon other sources apart from NCERT, then go through those topics which are not covered in your standard source through the NCERT, and also when you cover those things, just add it to your standard book. Don't have too many books at the end. This is the time management that you have to practice, whatever. See, because in my experience, I just want to tell about my experience. When I started my prelims preparation, at that point of time the optional was there for prelims, okay. Then CSAT came. Within CSAT, marks was counting both CSAT as well as GSCA. Then they removed English part. Then they made the CSAT itself is qualifying. Irrespective of those things, I cleared every of my attempt with the more than IFOS cutoff. The reason is we understanding what is the demand of the exam. What I am saying is, what is the understanding the demand of the exam, that itself can give you a pathway. It is not that last 4-5 attempts we are studying only 1 month. It doesn't mean that once you made your basic strong, all you need is application of it, okay. So in that scenario, make your basic strong and don't have too many resources, because at the end many of the students, what you do is, now you have time of 6 months. Whatever that you go to, let's say I always give you an analogy basics, when you go to a cake shop, which looks more beautiful, we think that is more tasty, right. In the similar way, when you go to a bookshop, when you pick up a book which has been done with a lot of diagram, then you feel like the book looks good, content may be good, we start taking it to home while going back, So in that way, don't start picking the book and adding to your content, because at the end you cannot manage, okay. So manage your content, that is first part, through various sources. For example, if I am studying from 3-4 sources, let's say you have class notes, let's say you have NCERT, let's say you have standard book, then add all into one part. Whatever that extra is there, which you are studying from only that part. For example, as I told you in the constitution, for example, talking about the philosophical part of constitution, only keep it NCERT for that. About president, about parliament, you study only from the NCERT, don't mix it up. You study it once, you glance it once. If you can have 1 or 2 extra point, add it to your Lakshmikant itself. And same goes with the test series. So when it goes to the test series, let's say I am solving the test series, I get a synopsis, right. So let's say by the end of this year, you would have solved like 60-70 test series, or let's say 100 test series. So 100 tests, each test have 70 pages synopsis. So at the end of the day, if I multiply, it is 7,000 pages. Can you revise 7,000 pages along with your NCERT, along with your standard book, along with your class notes? No, now you are maybe underlining on each topic, whatever that you have done the mistake, you open the synopsis, underline it. But after 2 months, 3 months, when you realize that you have to revise the thing, now you have dumped all of the things, now you cannot revise the thing. So what you are supposed to do is basically take a synopsis, let it be have 70 pages, within that only 10 question or 15-20 question or 20 pages, maybe those areas which are not either there in your NCERT nor there in your standard book or in your current affairs. Only mark that part. Other things, go back to your NCERT or your standard book from where you are reading that topic, highlight it in the original source. Have one source, one topic, and revise it many a times. Second time I am not revising NCERT or synopsis where that question has already been done in the standard sources. So that you are making your revision into one topic, one source, one topic, one source. So that you can revise it many a times, because the same topic has been given a different language, same topic has been discussed in a different way. Class notes may the same topic would have been told in a different way, NCERT may would have been told in a different way, standard. So when you yourself will get confused and you will not yourself will not get the clarity while reading. So study from only one material, okay. Then if you look at the questions again, ancient towns, Dholavira. Again, if you look at this, themes in Indian history, water reservoir found in Dholavira. It was a straightforward question of 2021. Okay. Again, medieval India, which one of the sequence in ascending order? If you look at here again, the sarkars into which Sabha was divided, and further it was divided into paragnas. So it is clear that they were asked the ascending order. So it was a very easy question directly from NCERTs. Okay. Then this one very tricky. I cannot say that everyone would have done this through the NCERTs also, because it is in that place of NCERT where we usually don't even look into. Okay. So with reference to Madanpally of Andhra Pradesh, they have given which of the following is correct. Answer is Rabindranath translated national anthem. But where is it? Look at here. Jana Gana Mana was translated by, after they have given the translation of national anthem, and then they have given that it has been translated by Gurudev Tagore in Bengali to English at Madanpally. So it is there in NCERT. It is not something that, but who would read this? So I have to be practical that it is only those who have that interest. They read that, they want to read them in English, what is the meaning of Jana Gana Mana, then they also have read it, would have done it. It is not that someone else not have done it, people have done it, but it is not that it is a common error that, if someone has not done it also, excuse is there, okay. So, but I am telling that these are the things. But again, previous year questions, why it will help, it is not just, it will help you in giving the idea, but what will also help is, so many times as I told you, as Thanmay sir has specifically told you, the thing is, how UPSC professors will set the paper is, let's say if I have got the paper to set the paper for CDS tomorrow, that is Central Defense Service. So let's say if I get it for CDS, then what I will do is, I don't know what is the difficulty level they are expecting from me. First thing I will do is, last 10 years the CDS paper I go through, right? So that I get a clarity on what level of expectation they have, because the same person if he is setting for SSC, the kind of question he give in that subject will be different, but it is entirely different if it is containing in other subjects. So I just go through the previous. When I go through the previous year paper, it is obvious that I get inspired. There the question they would have been asked about Buddhism. In a similar line, I will ask about Jainism. I will not repeat the question, but the themes in the dimension that can repeat. Okay, they are expecting to ask in this level, so that can repeat. So that is the way they always go through the previous year question. So if you look at the question, it is 2014 question. What is the following correct sequence of a food chain? If you look at the question, diatom, crustacean, herring was the answer. Diatom, that means that diatom was nothing but algae. They were the primary producer. After that, crustaceans will come, which are herbivorous. After that, the big fishes, herrings, which will, so that is the question. But if you look at the question of 2021, so 22 I think, 21, okay. So here if you look at, the question is which of the above are primary producer in the food chain? Diatom you already know because of the previous year question. You have one of your answer ready with you, and cyanobacteriaceae, blue-green algae, again you are having idea. So 2 and 3 you can easily get it just because I have solved it. It is just a application. But if you look at this question, okay, the money multiplier increases with which of the following? Okay, is it not visible? So, but okay, just read the option 2019. Increase in cash ratio, increase in banking habit of the population, increase in SLR, and then increase in the population of the country. Okay. If you look at the question in 2021 with same option, increase in the cash reserve ratio, increase in the statutory liquidity ratio, increase in the banking habit of the population, increase in the population of the country. So it is basically, even the question itself, with the option has been repeated, not just getting the answer. Even if you look at this question, which is most inflationary effect, again 2003 question, repayment of public debt, borrowing from public to finance this thing, budget deficit, borrowing from banks to finance budget deficit, creating a new money to finance budget deficit. If you look at 2021 question, payment of public debt, borrowing from the public to finance a budget debt, borrowing from the bank to finance a budget debt, and creation of new money. So even with the options can repeat. It is not that sometimes we have that feeling that it is UPSC, most of it, so nothing will happen. They look into those things, nothing works basically. At the end of the day, the paper is being set by the college professors. So they are also human like, so sometimes they also have deadline. On 10th you should give it. Till 9th they were busy with some other work or college. So later on 9th, so they have to somehow manage, and they could have done it. It is not that it is, we cannot say that it is entirely not possible that they, otherwise the question with options so cannot repeat, right? So this can also happen. So this way it will be helpful to go through the previous year question paper, right? Now if you look at the 2019 question, under which schedule Constitution of India can transfer tribal land to private parties for mining can be declared null and void. This is the other way of asking. But if you look at 2021 question, 22, particular area is brought under 5th schedule of the Constitution. What is the meaning of it? Okay. Then they are telling that this would, what is that? It would prevent the transfer of land from tribal to non-tribal area. So it was other way it was asked in 2019, right? Okay. Now, first I will, as I told you, too many sources, don't keep too many sources. Then we will go to solving the previous year question with the skill. Okay. Now I will finish this. What is too many sources? That for polity only you are having 3 sources. One is your class notes. Class, sometimes the institute where you have gone would have been given you their printed material also. Along with that you have your NCRTs also, class notes. Don't have too many sources for one subject. Always have one source, one subject rule. Whatever that is extra point, let's say as Sudeep sir has told, 2 point extra point about Swadeshi, if you get it in synopsis, come and do that 2 points so that you have 7 points now. Don't again read the synopsis for just because these 2 points are extra, so that you will have at the end of the day, maybe out of 70 pages you will have just 10 pages of synopsis. Even if you have done the 100 test, you will have only 1000 pages extra to study, which is easily manageable. Okay, so that too, it is not there everywhere and you are adding the extra knowledge from that. So repeat it. Okay, fine. Then again, as I told you these things, analyzing the mistake. Second is analyzing the mistake. Okay, how to analyze the mistake in test series? Let's say if there is a test series, okay. See, let's say what an ideal way is basically divide your mistakes into 2 parts. One is subject wise. Okay. Let's say history, let's say polity. Then see whether you have done the conceptual questions in error in conceptual question or in a factual questions. Okay. Let's say if you are doing conceptual, then you have to go back and study then and there itself. If you don't have to, video or something like, go to YouTube and just read about it, the basics about it, make your concept clarity then and there itself. Because unless how many times you revise, if your concept has not understood properly, you are revising the wrong concept again and again. So that you will do the mistake. So if you are making a conceptual error, then go and study about the concept then and there itself. But let's say if there is a factual error you are doing, then absolutely there is no worry basically, because it is all factual, it is nothing but a revision. Let's say someone can sing a national anthem without even knowing a single word of it or meaning of it basically, but still he can sing without doing a mistake. A class topper can tell it, or someone who is failing in all the subjects can sing it. Why? Because that has been revised for you from class 1 to class 10th on a daily basis, right? So which has been revised many a times. Many of the Hindi songs or other regional language that we sing basically, many of the foreign language also, where we will sing, we don't even knowing the meaning, but still we will be knowing the lyrics, because that has been heard so many times. That is nothing but the revision. Okay, so revise many a time. Now how you do the revision, that is up to you. Like let's say some people like to make a list out of the facts that they want to do and paste it in front of their wall and keep looking at it. Some will take a photo and during their lunch time they will keep looking at it. Only thing is you have to go through it many times so that you can remember the fact. In this way, understand what's going wrong with your test. Okay. Second is how to reduce the uncertainties through the test. Again, as I told you in the test series, basically what's happening is, as Sudeep sir also told, take it as like a complete this exam. Uncertainty can happen. In one of my attempt, I got it into a Tirupati where it was so hot in the month of May. Suddenly in the CSAT paper, power went off in the school. So totally I was drenching basically. I was sweating all out. So at that point of time, even CSAT score was counting also. So I could not even read the passage, at the same time I am sweating. So at that point of time, I was not ready for how to manage it. Somehow that has been, it was a short glitch, 5 minutes ka glitch, but what I am telling you, it can happen for half an hour also. Or sometimes you put it in a classroom where there is a lot of noise also. So you are not ready for such situation, because most of the time you studied in a classroom, right? So sometimes you would not have got proper sleep before the examination day. But always you have taken the test in a very, very comfortable zone. Don't do that. When if you, let's say tomorrow I want to take the test, I did not sleep properly, let's say I am having little bit of fever also, go and write the test according to your plan. So that what happens is you are getting ready for the uncertainties before the examination, and pull it in the OMR sheet. These are the general things. So I don't dwell too much about it, but these are very important things. People don't practice in the real setting. So they are always want to, no, today I am not slept properly, I will give the test tomorrow. But you never know whether you get a sleep before the examination day or not while revising the things, right? At that time you have to give, but you are not ready to give because you would not have practiced it before. So just practice all the uncertainties that can come in your ways. Let's say there can be a lot of noise in the school that you have been given. Maybe the area there is some procession is going on and there is a lot of noise that is happening. You might not concentrate. So put a song and start practicing it in one test. So whatever that you want to do, test series or net practices, you have to get ready for the uncertainties and do it in the test series. And whatever that you want to experiment, be serious in the test series. At the same time, don't hesitate to experiment in the test series. Let's say I want to check my political conceptual knowledge. So some questions which are applied based question, then I will try it in the test series. It's okay to lose the marks because you will be knowing that you are trying something and you are deriving something. Same with the CSAT. Let's say you may be good at comprehension. So let's say I want to do comprehension first, or I want to do passages first, or or aptitude first. That will depend based on the way I look at the question. So try everything in the test series so that you know that how to go about it. Don't hesitate to get the negative marks here, because those who have got lot of good score in the test series could not have qualified in prelims, and those who was hovering around between 90 to 100 have qualified also, because they were testing so many things in the test. So don't hesitate, but give it with the full serious with the OMR sheet. Okay, fine. Okay, understanding your strength, this is okay. Now how to plan your test series. This is where the important things come. Other things are actually individualistic. You can plan your way, how you want to plan. So I don't dwell too much there. Okay. How round system is done is basically the simple logic behind the round system is basically, as Sudeep sir has clearly told, you have to finish your first reading by 50 minutes. So the idea is, basic idea is, if I ask you, if I can put it across this kind of thing, let's say you have, I am little bit liberal because I attend 85 questions. So Sudeep sir says 70 questions, I say 85 questions for an example. Okay. So let's say 30 questions, 35 to 40 questions in the first round, 100% sure. Okay. 15 questions, you can't even touch it. Okay. So there are 50 questions. Remaining is another 50 questions, right? Now, where you are supposed to think, where you are supposed to apply the knowledge, where you have to do the elimination, where you have to do the common sense. Now, in general sense, these 35 questions are from very easy for you, basically maybe from your favorite subject, or maybe from one of that subject is your optional subject you are very comfortable with. Which kind of question you need more time? Where you are supposed to apply your brain, eliminate the option, that needs more time, or those questions where you are well read off, or that is from the directly from the book and you are comfortable with, which needs more time? Those where you are supposed to think. So the basic idea is basically finish all the questions which you are comfortable with within 45 to 50 minutes in the first round, so that you can keep 70 to 80 minutes for those topics where you are supposed to think. This 50 questions you have to think, you have to eliminate. If you are under stress, what so many students will do is, they go through the first statement, 100 questions they go through in the first round itself. While going, what they do is, they read each and everything. They try to eliminate the options there. After eliminating one option, they still stuck with the 3 options. Then they go to the next question. So what will happen is, in this endeavor, by the time they cover all the 100 questions, I think the time would have been like 1 hour 20 minutes. Now they all have is 40 minutes and they have to cover 50 questions where they are supposed to think, where they are supposed to eliminate the options. Now within this pressure, stress, can you eliminate the option? So many easy thought process you will not come to know, because you are running against the time. At the one time you are running the time and other way is thinking the question. So the best idea is to keep more time for unknown question. So how to do it? How I do it basically, I divide them into basically 4 categories. Okay. Okay, first category, easy, I'll write it basically. Okay, easy topics, okay. 2, okay, color is not visible. Okay, which color is better? White, na? Black is better? White, okay, I'll write, take white. Okay, first is easy topics which you are comfortable with. It doesn't mean that you may get the answer and may not get the answer. Question would be complicated, but the topics are easy, you are very comfortable with. Another is again easy topics. Moderately difficult, difficult. Okay. Difficult is those topics you never heard of. For let's say it can be ABCD kind of question. For example, who wrote the Songs from Prison? Book called Songs from Prison. Let's say you have not heard it, you won't be knowing it. So you don't need to come back for the second round or third round. That is done and dusted for even in the first round itself. Okay. That you can read it in the first round itself, which you know that ABCD kind of question. Once you read it, you can come to a conclusion whether you know the answer or you don't know the answer. You are not going to come back for these questions. Second is easy topic. Let's say, which of the Dholavira kind of question, water harvesting system, but the answer is question only having ABCD options. That is only one option. There are no statement based, only factual based. Or let's say 1, 2, 3. Let's say question is on fundamental rights, and let's say I am very much comfortable on fundamental rights. In these topic, irrespective of the number of statements, I do it in the first round because I am pretty much comfortable in these topics, right? So even sometimes you may not get the answer. Out of that 40, maybe 3-4 question will be such that even in the easy topic, the question had been made complicated, you won't be knowing the answer. But at least I would have gone through it in the first round itself. Okay. This is first round question where I am pretty much comfortable, or ABCD option, which is very difficult questions like Songs from Prison. I'll read it. If I know the answer, it's fine. If I don't know the answer also, it's fine. I have decided that I am not coming back to this. Other topics are moderately difficult. What is moderately difficult is, you have heard about the topic. NFT you have heard about. Or let's say, if the question on judicial custody, you have heard about. But you don't know whether you can solve them or not. You have not read very depth into it, but you know the basics of it basically. Such question, I keep it directly for the second round. I just read the topic, but I will not solve the question. Okay. So that what will happen is, I am only reading 35 this, 15 this, 50 questions only I am reading completely. Other reading, I am going through the topic so that I can know that what are the topics that has been asked. In this way, what will happen is, since I know the easiest topic I am doing, which is by strength, I would have taken only 40, less than a minute for such question, it would have been taken 45 to 50 minutes. Okay. Now, with this 50 minutes, I am pretty much sure that I have 35, let's say I have 35 questions, I have made it correct, then I know that 70 is in my pocket. 70 is in my pocket, 1 or 2, again still it can go, but in general, your mindset is you have done all of them correct. Only after coming from examination, you know that you have done 1 or 2 silly mistakes. Otherwise, you think that you have done that 35 correct. So I know that 35, that is 70 marks is already in my pocket. Second, now I know that I have 1 hour 10 minutes or 1 hour 20 minutes, and all I need is another 30 to 40 marks, 100 to 110. That is one thing. So that you don't have the pressure now. You know that the target is very less. Keep it safe, think softly. If you are still getting confused, you can leave the question and come back to third round. No, there is no hurry to put it across. Okay, that is second thing. Third thing is, let's say in test series you are doing, in the first round you are getting 40 questions correct on an average. But in UPSC exam, let's say you got only 30. What does that indicate? Paper is tough. You have to not, suddenly you have not become a stupid in one day. So the paper has become tough. The paper has tough. So you know that paper is tough. So you don't need to take too many chances. You have to play safe. Or let's say suddenly if it become 50 correct in the first round, that shows that you have not become intelligent in one day, right? So the thing is, the paper has become easy. So in this way, you can understand what is the difficulty of the paper when you are doing in the first round. That is second part. Along with that, you will not attach any emotion to the rest of the 50 question in the beginning itself. Usually what will happen is, it is a cricket analogy. If you again think that, let's say someone is got dot ball for 4 continuous ball. Let's say he is bowling a very good ball. Still 5th ball he will tempted to hit because he feels that, he will start taking to his egos. No, it's not working. Let's say for some people what has happened is, beginning itself ancient India question has come. First 4-5 question unknown questions. 5th question they tempted to attend because they are feeling that if I start leaving all the questions, then what to do? So they will start attending it irrespective whether they know it or not. Okay. So sometimes this can also happen. So in this way what will happen is, I am not even attending such question or reading such question. So I am not even attaching any emotion to it. So once I done with my first round, I know where I stand and how to take it basically. Then solving in the second round, applying your common sense, that we will discuss now. How the question will be, how you are supposed to apply your Common sense, right? Okay. This is the round system. This you have to do at least 4 or 5 tests you have to practice. Then only you get a grip over it, so that you have more time for common sense think, where you can use the common sense and think the questions. Okay? Okay? Okay. First, and also how examiner sets the paper is, this is one thing you always have to understand, after setting so many papers. What I understand is one thing, examiners usually don't frame their own general statements to make question difficult. What they do is, because that is easy to identify, because let's say I have studied completely polity for 10 times, this is my 10th time I have studied the polity and I went to the exam. Let's say they have asked about how the president will be impeached. Okay, one of the option is, 5/6 of the member has to pass the bill, something like this. Is there anything for 5/6 in the entire polity book? You know that it is not there. So automatically you know that this is wrong. It is easy to identify. When they frame their own man ki baat, it becomes easy to identify, because you have revised them many a times, you have not come across the statement. So what they usually do is, they interchange the statement of one to other. Let's say there are two similar things. Let's say there is cash reserve ratio and also statutory liquidity ratio, both are reserve ratios. They change the statement of SLR to CRR, CRR to SLR. They change the statement of tropical cyclone to temperate cyclone to tropical cyclone. They change the characteristic of P wave to S wave to P wave, or plant cells to animal cells to plant cell. If you look at the plant cell question, if you look at, they have given one character of the animal cell. Okay, this is other way of looking at it. So that is why then what happens is, you have studied both the statement in your preparation. Let's say if I say that speaker is selected amongst the member, that means that he needs to be a member during the time of his selection. The statement gives like this: speaker need not be a member during the time of his selection, but he should get elected within the next 6 months to Lok Sabha. Which is true for what? Or either house of the parliament. Which is true for minister. So you feel that you have read it somewhere. Now what will happen is, automatically your mind says that it looks similar, so you will tempt to take it as correct. Okay, so it is always that while reading itself, when there are two similar things, you should be always careful while reading itself. You should start anticipating while reading itself where question can come. Then only you know that, let's say if speaker is elected amongst the member of parliament, lower house of the parliament, how I look at this, okay, the word is elected. He can give as nominated by the ruling party. This can one way of setting the question. Amongst the member, that means that he need to be a member during the time of his election. They can give that he need not to be a member. Amongst the member of lower house of the parliament, they can give either house of the parliament. With the simple majority, they can give as the special majority. So in one statement, I can see that there are 4 to 5 ways he can change and frame a statement. So while reading itself, if you look at this way, then what will happen is, you will not get confused with the facts where he can set a trap, because you are already preparing for it while your preparation itself. You are saying that here is the trap that can happen. Okay. So let's say if there is a question on judicial custody, what is the other type of custody? Police custody. Now let's say if this is the question. Okay. There is a question on judicial custody. Okay. This is the judicial custody question, let's say. Okay. Now if I read this statement, judicial custody means an accused is in the custody of concerned magistrate and such accused is locked up in the police station, not in jail. Now you know that how the question is been framed. How question will be framed? Two similar things can be interchanged to check your conceptual clarity. Let's say I have not studied the judicial custody, but I have known about the judicial custody. Then I also look into the prospect of police custody, whether it suits more for police custody or judicial custody. So if I put the police custody accused is locked up in police station, not in jail, suits better, or judicial custody may accused will be kept in police station, not in jail, suits better. Police custody, police station, it is very, evident. Basically, you don't need to think even much about it, right? Police custody means police station he has been kept into. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, fine. Sorry. Okay. Now this one. Okay. Now all you know is basically what is FDI and FII. These are 2021-22 question. Right now I am telling about how to use your common sense and basic understanding of the subject. Okay. Now let's say if there is a foreign conversion, which of the following is FDI? Only through current affairs you know that the statement of FDI has been changed, that more than 10% of FII will be considered as FDI. This much you know from the current affairs? Okay. Forget about the statements now. Now, what is the basic thing is, forget about FDI. What is investment? What is investment? So let's say if you have, all of you have, money in your bank account, saving account, right? Can you consider that as an investment? But let's say if you keep the same money in the mutual fund, don't you think that this is an investment? So investment is something, it will grow. Saving is something. So if you keep it in, let's say tomorrow I keep the same saving amount, instead of rupees, I will keep it in dollars. Can you consider this an investment? Currency does not matter to me, right? Whether it is a saving or it is an investment. If you are putting in a mutual fund, if you are putting in a stocks, then you can consider our real estate, where it can grow by itself, can be considered as investment. Otherwise, if you are keeping in your bank, then though you get an interest rate, that is not a investment, because that is a fixed, right? So only that much you know about investment and saving. Even with that basic knowledge, let's say if there is a fourth option. What is the fourth option? Non-resident external deposit. Okay, what is that? Non-resident is those who are not staying in India, but they are keeping the deposit in the dollars or which currency what they want to keep. They keep the bank account in their currency what they are earning about. Their bank account, can you consider as an investment in the first place? No. So when it is not investment, can you become a foreign direct investment? So automatically, which is the elimination that you do easily with your very basic common sense understanding of the subject is 4. So if you remove 4, I have 1, 2, 3, 3 only. 3 is anyways the most difficult topic. If you don't know this, never heard of this, then it is a common anyways, so you don't need to worry. Only second you know from the current affairs is that 10% more than FII is considered as FDI. So answer is 1, 2, 3. The most difficult question, or one of the difficult question can look as easy if you have the basic understanding of the topic. This is the skill we are talking about. First, get the grip over the basic subject, apply it over. Okay, let's say this topic. Okay, when a prisoner makes out sufficient case, parole cannot be denied to such prisoner because it becomes a matter of right. He himself is under some criminal, right? So he has been good person in let's say in jail. Can you say that I will not deny you the parole because it is your right? Can that any law can do it? In law, always there will be exception. So this is the extreme statement I can remove. But second, read about the second statement. State government have their own prisoner rules on parole rules. Okay. Now, what is the prison in terms of state list? Prison is under state list. Law and order is in the state list. Police in the state list. So if something is in the state list, don't you think that it can, have its own legislation on this, or own rules? Every state can have its own rules. It is just application of your basic polity knowledge, right? So if every state, if it comes under a state, that don't you think the state can have its own rules? So that is very common statement. Okay. Next. Okay. Now this is 22 question. Vietnam has been one of the fastest growing economy in the world in recent years. Very generic statement. Can you see there is one simple rule that you should all know about elimination is that if I want to say something wrong, okay, this is my rule, okay, if I want to say some statement as wrong, then it should be 100% wrong. 10% right is also a right statement, okay. But if I want to say something right, then even 1% right, that means that it is right. Okay. It is a generic rule that you always have to keep. It is a very generic statement I am taking. So for example, black soil is good for growing X crop. Okay. 90% it is not good. Let's say even in 10% it is good, then you have to consider that it is correct statement only. Okay. It is the best bouquet if they are qualifying, then only you have to eliminate that option. If you just say that this crop can be grown in black soil, can be grown in black soil, even in 1 acre if they are growing, in rest of the world entire it is not growing, but even in one part they are growing, still it can grow. Can is a possibility, right? Possibility, you cannot deny the possibility, you have to consider it as a straightforward statement. Okay, even if it is 1%, one way it is right, then it is right. If you want to make something wrong, then it has to be 100% wrong. This is the basic rule. Okay, this you have to keep in mind. When you start looking at the questions, you understand it better. Okay. Now, Vietnam has been one of the fastest growing economy. Any doubt in this question? No, right? So, automatically this will be in your answer. So, now I have only 1, 3, 4, 1 and 2. So, 5 is not there. So, it means that 5 is absolutely wrong because 5 is not there in both the option. Now, I have to see whether 2 is correct, 3 is correct, 4 is correct. If I get one of them correct, I get the final answer. So, in this situation, never jump to a conclusion. Sometimes 2 can be more, 3 can be more correct than 2. So, once you know that 2 is correct, don't put the answer. Just wait and read the other statement because all you need is a single statement which should be 100% sure. Second statement says that it is led by multi-party political system. Do you know the polity of it? Let's say if you don't know what's, whether it is a two-party system, multi-party, let's say I don't know. So, I am going to the third statement. Its economic growth is linked to integration with global supply chain and focus on export. It is basically focusing on linking with the supply chain and export, it is depending if it's economic. Can you say that it is a wrong statement? Can you prove that it is a wrong statement? No, it is a very generic statement. Any country which want to grow its fastest economy, then it has to have the export. So, it is a very obvious statement. Okay? Then automatically, this is answer will be 1, 3, 4. 4 if you look at and 5 if you look at because Vietnam has the most productive e-service. If you look at here, the most productive e-service they are talking about. They are basically manufacturer hubs, Asian countries and all, but otherwise also the most productive. This will make it wrong. Or fourth is, for a long time, Vietnam's low labor cost and stable exchange rate have attracted global manufacturers. Very generic statement. So, 1, 3, 4 will be your answer without even knowing much about these things. Okay. Again, other than those made by humans, nanoparticles do not exist in nature. Can you say with the certainty that there is no manufacturing nanoparticles in the nature? So, automatically this goes wrong. Okay. Okay. I will not write anything. Okay. So, this goes wrong. So, if one goes wrong, automatically I have 2 and 3, 3 only. So, 3 is common in both the options. So, that means that 3 is correct. You don't need to worry about 3. If I look at the second statement, nanoparticle of some metallic oxide are used in the manufacture of some cosmetics. Is there anything clarity here? It is some. So, can you disprove that any metallic nanoparticle cannot be used in any metallic cosmetics you cannot use? Can you prove that? So, automatically even examiner cannot prove because he has to search that to set one option wrong, then he has to search entire cosmetic industry whether nanoparticles are used or not. So, that will not happen. That is why they have not given anything specific. Unless they give it specific, you don't need to worry. Okay, fine. So, automatically answer would be 2 and 3. Now, this one, New York Declaration on Forest. Have you heard about the New York Declaration on Forest? No. Now, it was the first endorsed at the UN Climate Summit 2014. This is a very factual. You don't know. Go to the next statement. What is it about basically? Declaration on Forest, what it can be about? Conservation of forest basically and the related tribal everything basically, those who are dependent on forest. Basically, it is the protection of forest, some convention is there, that much only we know. Okay. Now, it endorses a global timeline to end the loss of forest. Okay. So, loss of forest, you should end the loss of forest. So, it is endorsing a timeline, at least by 2030 you should do, or by 2040. It is endorsing, it is not fixing a timeline, it is endorsing, so that convention is endorsing. That is the second statement. Again, you don't know it, I am going to the third statement. Always go for the weakest statement where you cannot prove that it is legally binding international. Now you know whether it is legally binding or not legally binding. So don't jump to conclusion that it is not legally binding. This is one rule you have to know. Don't eliminate, always include. Make sure take the right answer, not try to make, because some organization will have the legally binding nominee. Suddenly if when legally comes, it can be wrong in last 5 years. Next year they can give legally binding statement correct. For example, Montreal it is a legally binding, right? So suddenly you put it wrong and then jump to the conclusion within the next answer. Never do that. Go for the easiest which should be included in your answer. Only when you are confusion, as Sudeep sir has told, then you apply this trick. Otherwise, first look at the most easy one. It is endorsed by government, big companies, indigenous committee. What is the meaning of it? Everyone is saying that this is a good convention, you should follow. Everyone is endorsing it, giving advertisement to it by the big companies. Have they given the company name? Have they given the government name? Have they given the which indigenous committee? Generally, even one indigenous or 10 indigenous community are saying that it is a good, you should follow this, then it is endorsing it. It is a government, some governments if they are saying that it should be followed, it is followed it. Some companies are in favor of it, it is endorsing. So the endorsing by big companies, some government, some indigenous, you don't need to even worry about it, it is endorsing, advertising. So that means that, what is that? This has to be there in your answer. This is the most easiest statement for you basically in your answer, where 4 has to be there. Now 1 to 4 is there, 3 and 4 is there, that means that 5th is the wrong. All you have is see which among these, that is 1, 2 and 3 may, which is the easiest one to decide. Okay. I go for this because it endorses a global time. Again the word is endorses. It is saying that we should have a timeline within which we should stop it basically, loss of forest. So it may be endorsing it. It is not even fixing it. Endorsing is a generic statement, so 2 has to be there because legally binding is more weak compared to endorsing. So I go with the option of 1 to 4. This is basically applying your common understanding, the word it has been given. Okay. And I am talking about 2021-22 paper only, because then you should not tell that, sir, these were working in before, no, not now. So that's why. Now, permaculture and conventional farming, which is good, which is bad? Permaculture is bad. The new agriculture, perma is nothing but permanent agriculture. That is basically sustainable agriculture. Okay, fine. That much I know, this much you know. Now we have not studied in depth about perma, we have not studied in depth. So we are in the examinational, right? Permaculture farming. So if it is good, will it discourage the monoculture or encourage the monoculture? Discourage. But in conventional chemical farming, monoculture practice are predominant. There are many areas where there is a chemical conventional organization, there is a monoculture. So that seems to be correct. A very straightforward statement. Second, conventional chemical farming can cause the soil salinity. Okay. But occurrence of such phenomena is not observed in permaculture. Okay. Third, conventional chemical farming is easily possible in semi-arid region where there is no water or anything. Is it easily possible in permaculture or more sustainable agriculture? It is permaculture. Which is more possible in semi-arid area? Permaculture. So this statement has to be wrong. So 1 is correct, 3 is wrong. So 1, 3 wherever it is there, 1 has to be there, 3 cannot be there. The answer is 1 to 4. Simple. So because the good thing they cannot have the bad thing. So even if you look at the 4th statement, practice of mulching, which is a good thing, is very important of permaculture. Okay, farming, but not necessarily so in conventional chemical farming. Okay, and they are given in the statement not necessarily in this thing. They are not. It is not there in chemical farming. They will not tell. Again, this moringa statement. Moringa drumstick tree is a leguminous evergreen plant. Okay, I don't know whether whether it is a leguminous or not. Second statement, it is endemic to South Asia. Again, you don't know where it is being exactly grown, whether it is endemic or not endemic. Then in India, most of the tamarind collected as tamarind. That it is collected in the minor forest produce. Let's say I don't know about it. Again, I go to the 4th statement. I always look for the weak. I can say that this is also correct, but I will not jump to a conclusion. Because when you are taking the chances in this question, never jump to a conclusion, because this is not your area where you are eliminating. So while eliminating, you have to make sure that you are eliminating in the right way. How to increase the accuracies? This is the way. India exports tamarind and seeds of moringa. Don't you think that India will not even export 1 kg? Export is export. Have they mentioning that it is the largest exporter? Is there giving any specific information here? India exports. Of course it will India export. So if India export means 4 has to be there in your answer. So if 4 is there in your answer, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 is there, 1, 3, 4 is there, 1, 3, 5 is there. Okay, this will not be there and this will not be there. Which will not be there? 4 has to be included, 3 are there. Okay, seeds of moringa and tamarind can be used in the production of biofuels. Easy statement. Again, 5th statement is there, 4th statement is there. Then you are coming with these 3 way, you have to pick one which is wrong. Now endemic is only available in South Asia. Can you say that neem is only available in South Asia? Now you have to take the chances by thinking about neem. Can neem be a general crop? Basically it is not that it is endemic to South Asia only, right? Or tamarind trees South Asia only. Then you have to take a call. I am not saying that all the time you get the right exact answer. What I am saying is how to identify the generic statements. Sometimes Deshar Katha, for example, the question was Deshar Katha inspired folk songs and dances or plays. Okay, Swadeshi plays and dances were inspired by Deshar Katha. Can you say that it has not inspired anyone? It's a very generic statement. It inspired. CPCB promotes, for example, cleanliness of wells and streams. Don't you say it will not promote, sir? It will promote. So promote is a generic term. But let's say CPCB is set up by Water Act, Air Act, it is a specific term. While reading also, you should concentrate more on facts for prelims. If it is saying that it promotes, it endorses, it also looking that someone else do, it will also advise the state government, state pollution, that you don't need to mug up. It is obviously responsibility of the central body to advise the lower body. Again, you don't need to worry much about those things. Getting my point? So it is a generic statement. Sign. So automatically 135 will be your answer. Okay. Okay. Now again, Government of India bond yield. There is a Government of India bonds are there. It have yield, that is how much return it will give, right? It can be influenced by the following. Positively, negatively, nothing. It can influence. Don't you think that United States statement Federal Reserve action will not influence Indian bond? Because it is a globalized world. Their action, strict action can influence. It is about positively, negatively, nothing specific. Whether it can influence or not influence. Influence. Whether Reserve Bank of India action will not influence or influence? Influence. Inflation and short-term interest rate, will it not influence or not influence? Influence. So influence is a generic term. I am not even worrying about, all of them has to be there. Okay. I'm little bit weak in this digital era basically. When we were writing, prelims was there with the optional. So we are from that era, last generation. So, so digital literacy can happen sometimes, so bear with me. Now, Burza home, with your basic knowledge, what is Burza home? Neolithic site. It is known for pit dwelling. That means that it is, it is very cold from outside. They cannot build the house and stay there. They are dwelling and pit, and everyone is staying outside. So because ice is a bad conductor of heat, automatically it can keep them warm. Igloo, those things is there, no? Igloo, okay. So this is the similar kind of thing. It was known for pit dwelling. People were staying, constructing a pit in this thing. Now, where is it? Kashmir. Now in Kashmir, don't you think that there is a rock cut shrines? Rock cut shrine ke liye pehle rock to chahiye na. I mean, there where you are, So is it a rock shrine is possible here? No. Now this you can eliminate with the basic knowledge. Don't get confused here saying that, sir, I have not studied. What if it is there? That is where your confidence comes. That is what Sudeep sir is saying. When you have understood the basics, you know that this is known for pit dwelling, where they cannot have the rock cut shrines. That is your basic understanding of the subject. That is why your basic building of the subject matters. Okay. Now, if I eliminate 1, what should be the option? 1 and 3, 1 and 3. Option remaining is 2 only, right? Now, if there is a 2 only, what is 2 1? Chandra Ketugar, and the part is about terracotta art. What is terracotta art? Something done in mud. Can you say that there is nothing called terracotta art in an area? Because terracotta art or a pottery or something like that are everywhere. Right? It is not something specific which you are doing some, let's say if the gold mining is there, then it can be dependent only on that region. But something we are doing with the mud basically, which is obvious, everywhere it is available, then terracotta can be available. You cannot disprove that terracotta was not at all there in the Chandraketa. This is a generic statement I consider. So answer should be 2 and 3. So what I am saying is how you are looking into it in a broader perspective. Whether he can give it 100% wrong or 1% right. You getting my point? Okay. Now, which of the following can establish symbiotic relationship with other? Okay. Now, cnidarians, fungi as well as protozoa. Can animal live without having the symbiotic relationship with anything else? I will only accept but I will not give back. Can I survive in this world? Let it be cnidarians, let it be protozoa, anything basically. If they are taking something, they have to give it back. Even X percent, maybe 100% of cnidarians may, let's say 90% are independent. There nothing can be independent in the world, but I am saying for argument's sake. Even if a 10% is there, then it will have a symbiotic relationship. So it is a very generic statement. These questions, don't think too much. Symbiotic relationship, can anyone exist without symbiotic relationship? No. Then this means that all these are the larger body they have given, larger group of animals. Even X number, if they are independent, that means that they are basically okay. Now, with reference to cultivation of sugarcane, okay, this is 2019 question, 20 question I think, a little bit tricky basically, okay. Substantial saving in recent trend they are asking, okay. Now there are two kind of things. One is, direct planting is certain is better. Okay, one is single budded sets. There are sets which have a single bud, okay. Another, there is a set which will have multiple buds. Only from this much I am understanding from this topic, nothing else, okay. There is a multiple buds, that means that there are 4 or 5 buds in a single set, or there is a single set, one bud, one set, one bud. This is the thing, okay. Now, with the basic of your understanding, tell me if there is a adversity, lot of rain or let's say lot of drought, which will survive? One with one set or one with multiple set? Common sense, okay. Now, when direct planting of set is done, okay, first statement is that substantial saving in seed material is made when bud chipping seedlings are raised in nursery and transplantation in main field. Now you don't know the concept, I cannot jump to conclusion. Can you jump to conclusion whether it is a saving or not saving? I don't know. I go to the second statement. Second statement says that when direct planting of sets is done, okay, the germination percent, that means which can grow as a crop, is better with single seeded compared to set with many buds. So if let's say if I have have the seeds with multiple buds and one set, which have the better germination advantage? Here it has to be 100%, then only it can come. Here out of 10 buds, even one bud can come up, it will survive. So which have more higher chances of germination? Multiple bud. So but here they are saying that germination percentage better with is single budded. It has to be wrong, right? So if I remove second statement, I am having 3 only, 1 and 4 only. Now I read the second statement to make sure whether it is 3 correct or 4 correct. What is C saying? If bad weather condition prevail, when sets are directly planted, when bad weather condition happens, single budded sets have better survival compared to large sets, which will have single or multiple buds. Multiple buds have, because rain mein, bad weather mein, it is 1-to-1 relationship. Even if it dies, it dies. Multiple mein, even out of 10 buds, if 9 dies, still it can survive. So third statement is wrong. So answer should be 1 and 4 only, because sugar can be cultivated using seedlings prepared from tissue culture. It is a generic statement again. Can be cultivated. Okay. So again, if you look at it, 1 and 4 would be easy answer to do. Okay. Now, which is the question? Domesticated in the new world, introduced in the old world. Old world is old civilization, like China civilization, Harappan civilization, Egyptian civilization. So this is old world. New world is later discovered, European, America, those things. So from where America or Europe countries to old world, which crops has been introduced? Some crops has been, for example, tobacco has come from Portugal. So which crops has come from new world to old world? Okay. Now we know with our what do you say, Harappan civilization ka knowledge say, which are the crop growing during the Harappan civilization? In terms of food crops, it is barley, wheat. In terms of cloth mein, cotton, sindon, that is why they are, that is the basic knowledge we have. That much only we will have, because we cannot mug up tomorrow what are the various crops by which country. Tomorrow I cannot make the list just because it has been asked this year, right? So tobacco, cocoa, rubber, this is one option. I don't know, let's say. I go to the next option. Tobacco, cotton. Cotton was not there during Indus? It was there. So this cannot be answer. Next answer by cotton. I am eliminating, it cannot be answer. After that, rubber, coffee, wheat. Wheat was already there. So what is left out? Tobacco, cocoa, rubber. As simple as that basically. The most difficult question looks very easy if you be in calm. Let's say if you are reading this, how I would be knowing which of the crop, this part I have not studied, then you are leaving the question. This is what Sudeep sir was telling, that don't attach any emotion to the questions. Read the option, and with your knowledge can you do something about it. With your basic common sense. But for all these things you need time. If you are running against time, you can't think all these things. That is why we are stressing you or pressing you to have more time for the those questions where actually you are supposed to think. Do your first round in the first 45-50 minutes so that you have more time and you can apply your logic, you can think peacefully. Because you are not under pressure, all you know is you need 30-40 questions, 30-40 marks. That is net 20 question out of remaining 50 question. Okay. Now, in the given year, official poverty lines are higher in some states. Let's say 750 rupees is a poverty line in one state. Another state may it is 900 rupees. Another state may 1000 rupees. Why? Why it can vary? Because some state may even with 900 rupees someone is poor. For Delhi may even if you have 15,000 rupees you will not get a single room. But in Bangalore may you will get food along with that, right? Not just room. You know, you can get 2 BHK house along with that also food, it is will be 15,000. So, place to place price will vary. So, poor in Bangalore may be, or rich in Bangalore become poor here. That we realized when we came here. So basically the price varies from place to place. That can be the reason. That is a common sense about your understanding. Because the price vary, that is why how much you need at the end of the what is poor. This much he cannot have with this money. That is the poverty line. So why it can differ year to year? The prices are different and it is different. So that is a direct question. Now this question I will end up with 3-4 questions. Okay, then I will go to CSAT and finish it off. Okay, AIB has more than 80 members. This is the question Thanmay sir has talked about basically, right? How AIB question has been asked. Now what is the logic? India is the largest shareholder. Next, AIB does not have any member outside Asia. One is, if you have the understanding that it is a China-led institution, India cannot be the largest shareholder. Of course, China will not give India as the largest holder and sit back, and it will have its own share. So, but let's say you don't even know that it's a China in the first place, first coming to a conclusion. Okay. Now, how I look at it basically. Okay. Or again, even if you remove that, again 1 only, 1 and 3 only options are also there, right? So still, even if you remove the common sense, the second statement, still you are stuck between 1 only and 1 and 3 only. Okay. Now, AIB has more than 80 countries. This is the first statement. Second statement, that is, AIB has more than 80 member nation. That is the first statement. Third statement is AIB does not have any member from outside Asia. Okay. Which is the largest continent with highest number of countries? Africa. Europe? No, not Europe. Africa. Basically 55 countries. Asia has 48 countries. This is basically what I am saying is sometimes your basic understanding also should have been there. Let's say if India, Asia, if you are having less than 48 or less than 50 countries, if AIB does not have a member outside Asia, can it have 80 member nations then? Are they not contrasting by themselves? So can 1 and 3 be together? No. So if you cannot remove all the 1 and 3 together, you have 1 only, 2 and 3 only. With your logic, now you know that second statement is that it is a China-led. So what should be the answer? 1 only. So it has more than 80 members basically. Like that, some contrasting word will be there. I show 1 or 2 answer of the contrasting word so you understand it better. Now microbial fuel cells are there. What is the meaning of microbial fuel cells? Microbial means living organism, fuel cells means which generates electricity. That much only we also know, right? That's in the examination. We could not have studied it, made a separate theme and studied here. So what will happen is, let's say, first is they use living organism as the catalyst. First statement, okay. Second, they use variety of inorganic material. Is living organism inorganic or organic? Organic. So automatically, second statement goes wrong, you will get the answer. So what I am saying is, once you start understanding what is the basic about the question, you will have, then I will come to CSAT and finish it off. Okay, I will not take too much of time. Okay, because even I am also becoming thirsty. So, okay, fine. So, basically what I am telling you, I just show one type of common sense. There can be research related question, a different another type of looking at it. There can be a narrowed down statements. All these things you will understand basically by solving so many questions basically. So, try to solve so many questions, but keep more time for your solution, solving these kind of questions. Sometimes there was a question, Asiatic lion was found in India only. Okay. Double humped rhinoceros is found in India, endemic to India only, or naturally found in India only. Okay, this was the statement. Asiatic lion is naturally found in India only, statement number 1. Statement number 2 is one-horned rhinoceros is basically naturally found in India only. Third statement, double humped camel is naturally found in India only. Okay, now this is the statement. Okay, now everything for which he has added only because to remove that trick. Okay, now while I look at this question, how I look at this is what is the habitat. Basic understanding is whether it should not be there anywhere. Natural India only, that means that I will look into the habitat. Where I will get one-horned rhinoceros? Kaziranga. So Assam, basically the tropical deciduous forest of Assam, which is directly attached with Bhutan also. If you look at the Assam map, it is directly attached with the Bhutan. So these are the animals which can roam around, right? So you cannot say that it will be found in Assam but it will not go to Bhutan. So it will be basically if the habitat is similar, if it can found here, it can be found here also. Same with the double humped camels, it will be found in Rajasthan, which is Thar desert is not actually, there is no natural boundary. We have created our own boundary between India and Pakistan basically. So if it can be found in Indian part of Thar desert, don't you think it will be found in the Thar desert part of Pakistan also? But only difference is Asiatic lion, which is only available in Gir forest. Okay, that is the only statement correct. Otherwise you have to look at the habitat. But for all these things what I am saying is you need time. In the pressure you cannot solve this. So keep more time for unknown questions. Okay. Now coming to CSAT, how many of you failed because of CSAT last year? It's okay, I mean there is nothing wrong with it. It is only about strategizing the things. Okay. CSAT, usually what's happening is actually CSAT is becoming more tougher day by day. Okay. Why? If you look at the questions of CSAT, not questions basically, if you look at this basically, one thing is for two reasons. One is syllabus. Once you understand the syllabus of CSAT, this is one of the most basic mistake most of you are doing. That is why you are actually facing the problem. Okay. That is, now comprehension is there, they have given. Interpersonal skills, that is no more they are asking the question. It was there when there was English passages alone without translation was there, then they were asking this. This is the syllabus done in 2011, right? Third is logical reasoning, analytical, they are asking. Decision making, in 2013 ethic paper has been introduced. Now decision making is handled in ethics. So this is not being asked anymore. Fourth is basically general mental ability. Fifth is very important if you look at it, it is a basic numeracy. Okay. General mental ability and basic numeracy are two different bulletin point in the syllabus. That means that the number system, percentages, averages, these where they don't need any formula. It is not mental ability, it is a basic numeracy. You will get around 10 to 15 questions from it, which is most neglected in UPSC. All of you are running behind time, speed, distance, time and work, probability, permutation, this kind of simple interest, compound interest, not learning how to calculate percentages, how to calculate let's say HCF, LCM. These are the basic numeracy part. So 15 question will be from this. So first you start with basic numeracy, make a strong point over it, because if you look at the time and work, last 12 years how many question has come from time and work? If anyone can tell me. Or last year 2022 how many time and work question were there? 0. Last 12 years there are 11 questions. That is 1 in each year. That's it. But if you look at number system, there are 100 questions from last 98 to be precise, from the basically basic numeracy itself. That is 10 question every year on an average. Okay. Now if you are neglecting that part, most of the question you won't be able to do. Okay. Along with that, probability, last time 3 questions were there, permutation 2 questions were there. But if you look at time, speed, distance, there was only 1 question. Okay. These are only 1 question, 2 questions kind of things. So put for more effort to basic numeracy, make your basics very strong. After that only apply that basic numeracy to these parts. Okay. Done. So if you look at the reading comprehension, it is consistent. 27 passage, 27 passage, 25 passage. So 25 to 27 passages are there. But last year it was a bumper because only 15 reading comprehensions at 27 questions were there. Okay. But questions were little bit tricky. But once you solve in our this thing, it will become very easy. Don't worry about reading comprehension. I will teach you reading comprehension in such a way that it will take 40 to 50 minutes to complete all the reading comprehension in the first go itself. So there is nothing to worry about reading comprehension. It is just like a common sense of GS kind of question. Okay, once you understand how to read the comprehension, because answer is already available in the comprehension, only your way is to treasure it. Where is the answer? Read the passage properly, get the answer. It is not like quantitative aptitude where you have to solve and then get the answer. Maybe you got stuck in between, you will not get the answer. But reading comprehension is something, but reading comprehension, don't get confused with the institute ka papers. Okay? Institute papers are very tough because they are made by the English, those who are good at English, they are from maybe IIM CAT, they are saying, that is how they advertise, IIM. So that is not the CAT exam you are writing here, CSAT. There is yes extra here. So the thing is basically, what you have to observe is, because since there is a Hindi translation, English passage is not based on English. It is about overall reading understanding. If you can understand polity, if you can understand history, if you can environment, then you can understand this passage. That's it. Okay, that understandability is required, nothing else. Okay, so don't worry, take it as a separate this thing. It is a very easy kind to do with the reading passages. Okay, then if you look at here, the change, last few years there was only last 10 years basically there were only 196 from quantitative aptitude. But in 2020 it has been increased to 40, 33. But compared to this, logical reasoning has been reduced. Logical reasoning only 23 question, 15 question, 20 question compared to quantitative aptitude. That is basic numeracy plus quantitative aptitude has been increased to 30, 35 question. Because of this, before people were getting through the logical reasoning. Now the logical reasoning question has been reduced. That is why aptitude question has been increased. Now that is why even though they have studied blood relation, direction, everything, still they are not getting enough question to solve. Okay, that is the one of the reason why it has become tough and lengthy as well, because quantitative aptitude take more time also. So how to prepare is basically depend more upon, not depending upon anything, because next time you don't know 20 questions from RC can be asked. But start from the basic, understand that basic numeracy is needed. First become strong in your basic numeracy. After that only go to the remaining application part in aptitude, and at the same time become strong in reading comprehension. Just because you think that you are not that good in communication English, then don't think that you can't solve the reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is very easiest one. Make that as a strong and very easy part of logical reasoning. Next is time management. Don't get if some question maybe look easy or very lengthy, don't keep reading it. For example, let's say this question. Okay, this is the question. See, this is one question. You don't even know whether you get the answer or not. Actually, it is very easy question. Okay, but only after reading you will come to know it is easy. But you never know it is easy or not before reading it. So how big it is, and let's say this question, one question followed by 3 statements, you have to check whether all 3 statements are correct or not. So for every statement you have to do the calculation, then get the answer. It is like doing 3 questions. Avoid such question in the first instance. It will take 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Time management is key in CSAT. Okay. So this you have to manage over a period of time, practice, you will get it. But don't go with and even some, don't take many of this is for especially for engineering or, for science graduate student, don't take anything to ego. Be a businessman. Each question carry 2.5 marks. Okay, the lengthiest also, difficult also, easiest also. Being a businessman, you should first take easiest questions. Then time in permission, then only if time permits, then you have to go to the difficult one. Don't take it to your ego that had solved permutation, I will not leave this today. That is not your attitude. This you can do only once you become safe. Or you can come home and do it. Next day also you can do it. So all these are available options. So don't worry. You can satisfy your ego also later. But in the examination hall, be a more like a businessman. Okay. This is okay. This again, this is the thing, and the next session from when classes starts anyways we will handle the class, and after each class basically after each topic, for example let's say I do inflation, then we will discuss all the question that has been appeared in inflation from last 12 years. It is not that we are going forward, and once you get a grip over it, then you will understand okay inflation only this much is needed. And also don't directly keep looking in the material, don't run behind the content. Everyone in India who is clearing is studying the same content, that is the standard contents. So if you think that they are studying something else, that is why they are clearing, you are not clearing, then you are doing wrong thing. Keep your sources handy as well as less as possible, but as standard as possible. If everyone is studying Lakshmikant, you have to study Lakshmikant. I can say that some book is better than Lakshmikant, I study that. Don't do that. You know? So keep as strong, standard references, but revise it many a times. Then over a period of time, you will build the skill. You will solve n number of such questions, basically 20, 21. Since it is just a sample session, I could not solve all the questions basically, and I had little bit, ran fast also to complete it within the time so that you don't get bored. Okay, okay. So in the next classes, though, we will handle everything. Don't worry. Okay. Thank you everyone. Now Thanmay sir, once again, it is not over yet. Thanmay sir, just give you a roadmap. What you are supposed to do. It is a 10-minute session basically. What you are supposed to do in the 10 minutes. Next 6 months, may how to have yourself. Okay. Huh? Okay. 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 Thank you very much.
Shall we start? So far we have understood what to study, what not to study, and how to study, and how to apply our knowledge in the actual examination hall, and what are all the things we have to keep in mind while tackling any sort of question in the examination hall. So, and along with that, there are many like this session. The first part of the session we have discussed about the orientation. You have to keep in your mind while approaching prelims. The second thing is the plan. How exactly you have to make yourself equipped to go through all the parts of the syllabus comprehensively and make good number of iterations of revisions. So, moving on to the roadmap to prelims 2023. See, the first and foremost thing that you have to keep in your mind is you have to complete your syllabus by February 28. Okay, so whatever the current affairs that you had gone through so far, or probably you think that I will be studying the current affairs at the last leg of the examination, like 2 months before the exam. That should not happen. So you will be referring monthly compilations or daily newspaper, whatever the sources that you are referring. You have to go through the current affairs from June 2021 to February 2022, like 2022-23 by February itself. What I am trying to say is last 6 months of current affairs has to be completed by February, and along with that you have to go through your syllabus at least one time by February. The next 120 days to 150 days has to be dedicated for the revision. That is the first thing. The second thing is you can work on certain themes. You can't work on themes in the next 2 to 3 months because you have to make sure that your basics become very stronger. Or if you take 100 questions in UPSC, at least 35 to 40 questions directly comes from the basics. If like in 2022, in one sheet there were 4 questions on parliament. Parliamentary form of government, exclusive powers of Lok Sabha, deputy speaker, attorney general, something like that. So you should not miss such kind of questions. People will not able to clear prelims not because of difficult question, because of the very easiest and medium level of questions, they probably committed the mistakes. So you usually commit the mistakes in the basics. If you commit around 4 to 6 mistakes in basic questions, you will be out of the race. Difficult question will be difficult for everyone because the competition is very relative. So make sure that you focus on your basics and the core current affairs for the next 2 to 3 months and finish off the syllabus. And after February, you will be focusing on couple of things I will let you know. So first, how exactly you have to go through the syllabus for the very first time or first round of revision till February. You try to focus on like rich dividend subjects. Don't take up ancient and medieval India at first. Although you take read n number of sources for ancient and medieval India, the number of questions you are able to attend or which are going to get right will be very less. There are certain very factual questions. If you observe 2022 and 2021 ka paper, most of the ancient medieval India and art and culture based questions are very factual in nature. So it's not very easy to attend those questions although you have read couple of sources. So other than that, there are certain areas like polity, वैसे question आ रहा है, like economy, external sector, inflation, banking. On external sector, we got around 6 questions in 2022, 4 questions in 2021, 3 questions in 2020. So such kind of subjects are very low hanging fruits, like say S&T, environment, agriculture, polity, economy, to a certain extent Indian geography and world geography. That would be more than enough to cover at least 70 to 80 questions. You try to target those subjects first. If you are not able to complete ancient and medieval India by February end, no problem. You try to accommodate after February. Clear? Prioritize the subject based on the weightage. That is the first pointer. The second pointer is you have to keep one subject and you have to finish the one subject and you have to take the test. You can take 2 subjects concurrently based on your efficiency and capability and competency. But make sure that you take one subject and in one subject you try to cover static aspect and the current affairs aspect, and one fine day you sit and give test and understand where exactly you are committing mistakes. So more or less for one subject you can dedicate 10 days. Like it may vary from 7 to 10 days, 7 to 12 days. But at least 5 to 7 days has to be given for static, 3 to 4 days has to be given for current affairs and 1 day for test. After giving test, probably you might be giving on polity, most of the subject wise test series will be having 2 to 3 tests. You can give 2 tests in one day, and after that try to analyze what mistakes that you have committed. Aditya sir has already talked about it. Understand what types of mistakes that you have committed, where exactly you are going wrong, in which basic questions you are committing mistakes. And after that you will come to know where exactly you are lacking, and try to revisit those basic then and there itself, and move on to other subject. Likewise, you try to complete each subject in 10 days. More or less there are around 70 days till February 28th. You can able to complete all the 6 to 7 subjects comprehensively. That will only give you 85 to 90 marks for sure if you have done the revision properly and you have taken the test properly. And after that I have already talked about the split up, how exactly you have to plan yourself. Clear? So in this there are 2 to 3 types of category, like in the student fraternity there are 2 to 3 categories. Few people are very freshers, few people are experienced candidates, but they are not able to clear prelims consecutively. On and off clear ho jata hai. And there are working professionals who will be involved in economic activity, and but you make sure that you dedicate some time for UPSC preparation. First I will talk about the freshers. So the overall plan remains the same, but the freshers has to focus on the basics. मान लेना probably you will be going through current affairs, you may not able to revise the current affairs properly on daily basis or per se monthly basis. Don't worry about it. Current affairs is highly overrated in the market. I will let you know why it is overrated. You have to build your basics properly. On top of it, you can build themes or current affairs, whatever it may be. And second important thing is you try to understand the process. You invest good amount of time on understanding the process. That was the thing that I have discussed in the first part. Once you understand the demand, you can easily deliver. That's it. So you have to go through the previous year papers properly. If you have any doubts regarding themes, how to analyze the previous year papers, you try to refer Prelims 360 playlist on YouTube. It consists of 9 videos. We have talked about all the themes, and we have talked about how to analyze the papers with in very detailed manner. So you just type Prelims 360 Insights IAS on YouTube, you will be getting 9 videos. Try to go through it. So that would be more than enough to understand and analyze the previous year papers, and it will always be helpful in the near future. And the third thing is maintaining the consistency is the major problem. Probably you will be studying 4 to 5 hours for 4 to 5 days or 1 week, and after that you will be taking 3 to 4 days ka break. That doesn't work. Make sure that you have a proper timetable and try to achieve the targets, and you try to go through the syllabus or subject on target basis. May next hafte mein wo khatam karunga, something like that. So that consistency will always give you the self-confidence. If you don't maintain the consistency, what will happen? The current affairs will also pile up, the static syllabus also will pile up, and you will start to study parliament, governor and president comprehensively or in a correct way in the month of March and April. That should not happen. So whatever the basics things that should be in your mind by February. If that is the case, nobody can stop you from clearing the prelims. And make sure that freshers give more focus on prelims rather than mains. I have seen lot of people, they have not completed the polity properly, at least 1 or 2 times. They will write essay and ethics answer, and they will come up with some their philosophical essays. I am not saying that you should not write it, but you have to make sure that you build your basics properly, then move on to other subjects. There is always a basics, advanced, something like that, right? You can't be put into 10th standard at the age of 5, right? So you have to build the basics. So optional and especially with respect to mains, so don't focus on all those elements at this point of time. If I would have taken the session in the month of June, I would have said that you can write 5 answers every day, you can write essays on weekly basis. That doesn't work right at this point of time. But with respect to mains, what you can do is, it's better to complete the optional by January 15th, maximum January 30th. After that, if you are left with optional, मान लेना एक पेपर खत्म हो चुका है, एक पेपर नहीं खत्म हो चुका है, or probably you are done with 70% of optional, no problem in that. You try to focus on prelims itself, because since if prelims clear हो तो उसके बाद तो कुछ कर सकता है. If you are not able to clear the prelims, again 1 year. I have seen lot of people who write very good essays and ethics answer, but वो मतलब ही नहीं हो रहा है. Okay, you try to focus on completing the optional at least 50 to 70% by Jan 15th. After that, no optional ka affair. It is exclusively for the freshers. Focus on basics, focus on consistency, understand the process, मेंस के लिए थोड़ा कम प्रेफरेंस देना, ठीक है. For working professionals, like there are two categories of working professionals. Some are experienced candidates, they have been preparing from 4 to 5 years. Some are very freshers in nature. Then one of the major blockage they have or obstacle they have is time. They will be working around 8 to 10 hours each and every day, and they will be getting weekend ka, holidays ka leave, something like that. So they always face shortage of time. At that point of time, you have to target certain areas. If you are already done one round of revision, मान लेना polity एक बार आपने पढ़ चुका है, something like that, you have to focus on certain themes or certain targeted areas or focus areas. You can't complete the syllabus if you are giving your exam in the next year. मान लेना आप working professional है, you are planning to give 2024, go आराम से, no problem in that. And in working professional, you have to go beyond your work. The first and foremost thing is probably you are traveling from one place to another place, probably you are traveling in metro or having lunch, whatever it may be. At that point of time, try to go through the current affairs, like Insights ka daily current affairs or any website material, whatever it may be, whatever the things which are possible, which can be done on phone or iPad on a digital format or soft copy format, you try to go through it. Like 1 hour or 2 hours that you waste each and every day, it will pile up. And at that point of time, you will skip the attempt for the next year, because you have a economic independence, right? You have the option to skipping the attempt to the next year. I have seen lot of people, they will take course, they will attend 15 days ka classes, after that they will become gayab. And again they will come in next year prelims. Sir, मैंने complete नहीं किया, फिर से चालू कर देता हूँ, something like that. That should not happen. And along with that, you should, since you are working, you have your own commitments. At that point of time, you should always think that I should do something extra than other people are doing. If someone studying for 6 hours or 8 hours, they are free, they are entirely dedicated for the preparation. You have to achieve you have to go at least near to them. Other than that, मेरे को इतना ही टाइम मिलता है, 3 घंटा ही मिलता है. At that point of time, it's almost evident that you are not serious about the process. आपके पास एक जॉब है, आप कर रहे हैं, इसके लिए आप 3 घंटा दे रहे हो. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, and if you feel that you want to take some break and leave, and then you have to prepare for the examination based on your economic conditions and your future plans, try to understand the things properly, and after that you can take the call on preparing dedicatedly for the UPSC civil service. Okay, and moving on to the experienced candidates. So experienced candidates are such kind of candidates, they have been studying from last 4 to 5 years or couple of years, but they are not consistently clearing the prelims. On and off हो जाता है. They will clear prelims in one attempt, they will go to interview or they will write mains, whatever it may be. Next year उन लोगों को clear नहीं होता है. So those people will be having lot of fear. They know the subjects very well, but they fear lot about on clearing the process itself. At that point of time, what you have to do is, the first and foremost thing is you have to focus on the number of revisions. Try to do good number of revision, and along with that try to take good number of mock tests in a stimulated environment. यहाँ पे आया चाय शॉप में मैंने सॉल्व कर दिया, उसके बाद चाय पी लिया, ऐसा नहीं होता है. You have to stimulate the real time environment and try to do good number of iterations and try to take good number of mock tests. And on top of it, focus on solving techniques. It has already been elaborated by Aditya sir. उन लोगों का वो पैटर्न है ना, they will clear in one attempt, they will not able to clear in another attempt. उन लोगों का कट ऑफ मार्क्स 4 to 10 मार्क्स से मिस होता है. They are very near to cut off, but they are not able to clear. उन लोगों का ज़्यादा knowledge gain करने का मतलब नहीं है. They have to understand how exactly they have to behave in the examination hall. And on top of it, you try to identify certain themes like coal, solar energy, new practices in agriculture, so that it will give the extra edge in the examination hall. Okay, these are all the important things that you have to keep in mind. So till February, you have to focus on clearing or completing the syllabus at least for one time. After February, what you have to do? So for freshers and working professional, you have to do at least 2 rounds of revision. Until and unless you don't do 2 rounds of revision, there is no use in it, because you may not able to recollect the pointers in the examination hall. There are 100 questions, right? Maximum you will be getting how many minutes for each question? 50 seconds to 55 seconds. So if I give you 3 minutes, you can easily answer any question. So in order to recall the points, in order to have conceptual clarity on any topic that you have studied so far, you should do the revision. Until and unless you do, when you are acquiring the knowledge, that is the most important thing that you have to remember. मान लेना मार्च में एक मटेरियल आ जाता है मोस्ट एक्सपेक्टेड टॉपिक्स फॉर प्रीलिम्स, उसमें तो एक भी नहीं आता है, वो अलग बात है. You will get tempted, मतलब वो पढ़ लेता हूँ एक बार. Until and unless you don't have the clarity, you pose question to yourself, can I able to revise this material for 3 times or not? If you are not able to revise that material for 3 times or not, however it may be relevant, throw it off, because you can't handle the things. So the revision after February is a very crucial thing. While you are revising, you can easily connect to the previous year questions. कहाँ पे उन लोग trap लगा देते हैं. Aditya sir has explained about it, right? And कैसे themes को approach करना है. All these top ups on basics will get added in your preparation का list. So that is very, very important. So how exactly you have to plan your revision? Basically, for the first iteration, it would be around 40 to 45 days. The second iteration, it will be around 30 days for freshers. It may go to 32 days or 20, it may come down to 25 days, like 15 days, it depends on you. For the experienced candidates who have already given prelims 2 to 3 times, you can do 3 rounds of revision. For them, the duration will be less. It doesn't mean that freshers 2 rounds karna hai. You can do 4 rounds also and 3 rounds also, it all depends on you. But make sure that you do 2 rounds of revision before the prelims. So that's why we are emphasizing on one single fact that it's better to complete each and everything by February. अब उसके बाद मान लेना you have done second round of revision by April 15. You mark my words, you will be having very good confidence in the month of April. It's always very important to have confidence in the month of April, because at that point of time you will encounter whatever the question that might come up in the exam. If you are not that confident in the April, what will happen? You will start to prepare directionlessly, because आपको again the factor of fear will come in, and then you will start to read, solve mock paper, कुछ भी कर देते हो. You will, most of the candidates I have seen, they will become directionless in the last 50 days, because उन लोगों को पता ही नहीं चलता है क्या करना है, because polity नहीं पढ़ा है, वो बचा है. They will try to go through all the subjects in one day sometimes. That doesn't work. So in order to have a better confidence, and if you want to be at the good position in the month of April, 1 month before the exam, it's very, very important to clear off all the syllabus or go through all the syllabus and topics by February. Okay? Is it clear? So this is the schedule that you have to follow. More or less based on your own strengths and weaknesses, you can do modifications, but make sure that you follow this plan religiously. Clear? So from the last 3 to 4 years, 3 to 4 hours, we have discussed some of the most important aspects regarding the prelims. I hope that it has solved almost all the doubts that you have. It doesn't mean that it has solved all the doubts that you have. So we will be in Delhi for the next 20 days. Okay, you can come and show your analysis, or whether you have joined this course or not joined this course, it doesn't matter. Like, you can come and show the analysis to us. Anyways, we'll be there till Jan. I will be there till Jan first week. Okay, and Aditya sir will be there till Jan end. Here, and Sudeep sir will be coming in the month of Jan. So you can share your analysis, apprehensions, whatever the things that comes across in your mind regarding the UPSC prelims for the next 4 to 6 months. Anyways, in the classes, we'll be sharing the Telegram ID. You will be able to communicate with us on one-to-one basis. And we have mentioned in Conquer Prelims, it's a hand-holding support. ऐसा नहीं है आपका कोर्स खत्म हो गया उसके बाद हम लोग switch off कर देते, something like that. We still have students from 2018-17 batch. So it's not basically a transactional business that we usually don't do it. So basically you will be having a hand-holding support. One of the most important thing in prelims or in whatever the stage of the examination is guidance. And there should be a mentor to guide you at appropriate time and in an appropriate way. So that will be 100% assured in Conquer Prelims program. So one of the advantage of getting getting into Conquer Prelims program and finishing off the syllabus by February is you will be having ample of time for the next 2 to 3 months. Clear? So I strongly suggest both online community and offline community go through the papers properly, analyze the paper and enumerate your observation for at least one subject. So once you are done with the one subject, obviously you will start to follow the same thing for the other subject. It will deburden your preparation and it will give obvious direction, clear cut direction to how to acquire the knowledge, what to study, what not to study, and what? How to study. Clear? Was it helpful? Yes. Okay, sure. Thank you so much.